Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the From the Stands podcast. We are back for episode numero 111, a little 111 on this July 7th, 2026, coming at you in the middle of the World Cup here. We're going to start off with a little World Cup action this time instead of starting off with basketball, just because there's just insane games going on left and right, we feel like. But we have a little bit of a break now. We're going to talk a little bit about the round of 32, round of 16. But like I said, we have a little bit of a break now. In the next couple of days, I don't think we have any games. But Fezzy Boy, tell the people in detail what we got coming up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The round of 16 has not disappointed, dude. Like, all the games have been bangers. Like, been close to upsets, some really, really close games, penalties, this, that, and the other. Huge comebacks, which we'll touch on today. Some big-time disappointment. If you follow the U.S. men's national team, we'll dive into that. Their disappointing game that took place last night. And then, even though we're not starting with it, we will talk some basketball because dude, this has been one of the craziest off seasons that I have seen, like, remembered in recent memory. Like, not the names are huge, but like just like you just said, like so much movement on the player front. It's just crazy, and we'll talk all that to round the pod off. But before we dive into like our weekends, hopefully everyone had a great 4th of July weekend, got some hot dogs, some hamburgers, watched some World Cup, yada, yada. If you guys could please like and subscribe on the video here on YouTube, that would help us out a ton. But yeah, without further ado, Sammy boy, how was your 4th of July weekend celebrating the 250th anniversary of our wonderful, wonderful nation?
Yeah, it was lit. Hot as crap.
I bet.
That's kind of been a theme around here. Since we always talk about the weather, it has been 95 plus, like basically every day for a couple weeks now. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Laid kind of low for most of the day on July 4th. Joy wasn't feeling super well, but caught some fireworks that evening. But we kind of had our big get together on Sunday. Our church threw a huge 250 event celebration kind of thing. We had like patriotic trivia. We had inflatables for the kids. We had cornhole, obviously tons of food. And we had like a big fireworks show later that night at someone's house. I was out in the country. That was really cool. So just all around super, super good vibes. Felt super patriotic. It was the event was just really well thought out and put together, which is great. So it was a lot of fun. What about you? Little road trip up north?
Yeah, we went and visited Peter and his wife and his kid.
Friend of the show
for sure. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, just hung out with them. They bought a new house, so we stayed with them in their house, which was cool. 4th of July, we went to Peter's wife's family's house and just had like, your generic like burgers and dogs, picnic outside, went swimming, fireworks, this, that. It was just a good time. Just to kind of get away. It was super quick. We were only there for like 2 days, and it's like a 11-hour drive. So like those were rough, but other than that, it was great time celebrating, getting to see people that you don't normally see. It was kind of cool being in like, I don't go to I guess Michigan's technically the Midwest, but like I don't go to the Midwest like all that much, and just like being in that part, like that's such a, I don't know, it just felt like nostalgic.
Midwest.
Yeah, northwest, north, midwest, whatever. But it was just like kind of wild being in like Michigan. I was just like I've like been to Michigan like twice. I was like, for some reason on the 4th of July, it just feels nostalgic, like just being in like that part of the country. I don't know. It was just like a weird feeling, but but it was a good time. Obviously watched some World Cup as well while we were there, but it was super hot there too. I was kind of like looking at the weather when we were driving up, and I was like looking forward to it because I was like, usually you go that far up north, it's like, yeah, it's hot during the day, but it cools down. Nah, it didn't cool down at all. It was just muggy and in the 90s as well. And I was just like, this is, I mean, it's a 4th of July, I guess, but yeah.
Whole country suffering, I guess. What was it like to watch World Cup with our boy Pierre over there? Obviously, he's not the biggest soccer fan, or maybe he just doesn't really watch it or understand it, but definitely more of a football guy, I guess.
Yeah, I was so upset because, well, I wasn't upset for the reason that I missed the game, but I did end up missing the Cape Verde and Argentina game, and he was watching it, and we talked a little bit about it when we left, but we were visiting some other friends that just had a baby, and we were there until like really late, and so I ended up missing that game as well. But no, I watched a little bit with him. We didn't really end up watching any of the exciting ones really. I'm trying to remember the games that happened, but again, it was just like all a blur. But you did have the every once in a while like just a super American comment coming out of Peter's mouth, and you just like,
Ah,
I sure, like I guess you have a point or whatever, and I'm just like, you just
you
take
just
it on the
agree
chin.
and move on.
But no, it was fun to be like, just have that interaction, be able to like watch sports with him again. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a very strong American opinions coming out of. I think I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but like we were watching a few weeks ago, and we have a group chat with him and Jared, who we've obviously had on the pod as well, and he just like went off about the scheduling. I know you agree with him, but like that was probably the biggest thing that he was talking about again. He's like, the scheduling is just so stupid. Like they've just missed a big opportunity. I'm just like, you know what? Honestly, yeah, you're kind of right, but like at the same time, this is how it is, so we
Well,
can't really
he
change it.
was complaining that there was so many games at the same time on the third match day,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
had to explain to him why. But
yeah, and
yeah,
I guess the explanation that I had didn't even like hold that much weight nowadays because with technology, you just have like fans screaming to
right.
all the players like
Yeah,
they scored. Like
or
people
probably
can find out
people
so
from their
easily.
coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but other than that, like it was a good time to see people that you don't get to see a lot, and obviously had a great 4th of July celebrating our country. It was super patriotic. But obviously we did not end end the weekend, or I guess the weekend kind of ended, but on Monday it was not very patriotic, which we will get into. But we're gonna touch on some round of 32 games, just to kind of wrap everything up again. Having a podcast that comes out once a week and you have games every day, like we're a little behind, so bear with us. We gotta fit everything in.
Yeah,
So
we'll try not to do a deep dive into every game, but
even though we
um,
could, we
yeah,
could,
we
and it
could.
would be
I
a lot of
honestly, I've
fun.
been so dialed. I've watched so many games, or at least like maybe not
Yeah.
in its entirety, but
Hmm.
I've probably watched at least like a chunk of almost every game. Maybe
That's
two or three
amazing.
that I'm not dialed on, but
That's amazing. I
so
love it. Yeah.
well, don't quote me. The ones that start at like 12 and 1 o'clock, maybe I haven't
Right.
watched, a ton of, but
Yeah.
I've gotten enough of them to know what's going on. So I feel,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
dialed.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it. I guess we'll
Yes,
go back
sir.
to finishing up the round of 32, all the way back to a game that was happening, I think, while we were taping the last pod. So
Yeah.
Mexico, Ecuador. Mexico playing with a lot on the line just because of their supposed curse of the fifth game, as they call it in Mexico, which I wasn't really familiar with before this World
That's
Cup,
dope.
but kind of cool. Some dope lore going on over there.
Hmm.
Basically, since I think it's '94. They've made it to
Shoot.
the round of 16 like every single time they've been in the World Cup, except for last World Cup in 22.
Uh-huh.
So they're always like a lock to get out of the group, but they always lose in the round of 16. Obviously, with the expanded World Cup, now you have an extra round in round of 32, but basically they still counted it because still got out of the group and played that extra game. So they
Right.
were able to win in this game 2-0. Very convincing win, I would say, against a solid Ecuador side. Again, the Azteca just what a palace that place is, dude. Absolute
Mecca.
fortress for them.
Yeah.
Never lost in a World Cup home game there, except for the one that they did lose the other day, which we'll touch on a little bit. But yeah, great stuff for the Mexicans here.
Yeah, dude. When you told me that, I was like, "Wow!" I didn't realize that this game like meant so much. And like you said, it's a little different because we're not used to a round of 32, but it is technically a knockout stage game. So like that's kind of just how you view it. And then being able to get past Ecuador, which again, like a super pesky team, a good side, and Mexico just showing their quality and beating them 2-0 to break that curse. What a great epic moment. And like we've talked about on the podcast, like it was super cool to see Mexico do well in this tournament because like they're the host nation. You like seeing the host nation do good, even though, we root for the USA. Just rooting for Mexico just felt right unless they were playing the USA.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see them get this and get over the hump, and get past this supposedly curse of the fifth game. It was super cool when you told me about it.
Yeah, yeah. I think Mexico is just an easy team to root for, especially if you're a neutral. Just everything they've got going on from their fans to
Absolutely.
the way they play and everything. You just
Yeah.
kind of like that kind of stuff. So, um,
for
Cool to
sure.
see them keep their clean sheet record intact as well. Up to
Yeah,
that
that
point,
was
they hadn't
huge.
hadn't conceded any goals. So through 4 games, very impressive stuff for
That is
them.
impressive.
Moving on to the England game, round of 32. Coming into this game, everybody kind of thought England was going to roll over this Congo side, but ended up being Congo's a little bit better than people were giving them credit for, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously tying not just Portugal, but Colombia as well, and then giving England all they could handle. I mean, they went up early inside 10 minutes and spent really the rest of the game up on England until the 75th minute. Harry Kane ending up getting a brace.
Yeah.
Can't talk tonight apparently. In the 75th and 86th minute to break Congo hearts. I came into it being like, all right, like I'm kind of rooting for England to go far, even though they are kind of our rivals, if you want to call them that, just because of our history and everything. But halfway through the game, I was like, bro, I'm Congo all the way now.
Yeah,
Like
heck yeah, bro.
we're all the way on the underdogs.
DR
And then
Congo.
freaking Harry Kane, bro. I know we were talking a little bit back and forth. We were like,
Yeah.
man, screw this guy, bro. This guy had to just bury these dudes at the
He's
very
so
end. But
good.
he's still, dude, he's so quality, and
Yeah.
he's. I feel bad for the guy wasting half of his career over at
I was
Tottenham. I mean,
gonna
he could
say,
have.
yeah.
He's already like one of the best strikers of our generation, or of his generation. But
Yeah.
man, he could have just been elevated if he had a lot of the trophies to back him up as well. But did you watch the end of this game at least?
Yeah, I did. I think I remember texting you, and we were both kind of going back and forth thinking, like, holy crap, Congo might pull this out, and this would be, like, crazy. Because obviously the jokes are already there about England always talking about, it's coming home, this, that,
Yeah,
and the other. I don't know. They're hitting their stride. They're looking pretty good, and we'll
yeah,
get into them having a huge result against Mexico in a little bit. But, dude, like you said, Harry Kane wasting all those years at Tottenham just because he was super loyal, and then finally getting out and going to Bayern, and
yeah.
like,
Admire the loyalty, but that's a little bit too much loyalty.
it's a little too much, and I think the thing you alluded to, because I think the little thing on Instagram where you could see who's liked like the post before you and stuff like
Mm,
that. You liked this post, but it was just talking about like Harry Kane is legitimately a generational player, a
yeah,
generational striker, and like just imagine if he didn't play for Tottenham all those years, just like who he would be up there with the likes of. Like, I mean, he has like 70 plus goals already this year,
yeah.
like for club and country, which is the second most behind Messi's, like what, like 84 or something like that in a season. And I was just
Hmm.
like, that's just crazy company to be keeping, and he's doing it on the biggest stage when England needs him the most. Granted against Congo, but like going absolutely crazy in the World Cup, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You guys play in a little bit of a weaker Bundesliga, and you're playing for a Bayern team that really rolls over all of those guys. But
Facts.
good to see him performing for England as well. And a lot of his supporting cast really didn't show up this game. He kind of had to save him
No,
by himself, but some of his supporting cast ended up showing up in the second game, which we'll get into in a little bit. But moving on to Belgium and Senegal, this
this is crazy.
had all the billings of a big time game. Senegal, African champions, at least in my book. Whatever you guys think about the Morocco Senegal debate that we talked about a few months ago, whatever.
Yeah.
But good team nonetheless, going up against a Belgium squad that a little bit on the way out as far as their golden generation is concerned, but still very solid players at most of the positions that they have. Senegal going up 2-0, really in control for most of this game. Belgium leaving it super late to bag 2 goals through Romelu Lukaku and Yuri Tielemans to send it to extra time. And then an 125th minute penalty by Tielemans on a pretty dodgy call, I would say. A
Dodgy
little
for sure.
sketchy, getting them through to the next round. I was really hoping for pens just because if I'm a neutral, I mean, I would want pens, for every game I'm watching. But I don't know what did you think about the penalty and Belgium going through here?
Yeah, super dodgy, super sketchy. There was contact, but like
Mm,
I think I texted you this, like it's not enough in my opinion to decide a game
yeah,
on that much
agreed.
contact. Maybe early on in the
That right
game,
there,
and
the context
yeah,
is big for me.
exactly. And I think that's something that needs to be in the ref's mind, especially like with VAR nowadays. It's like everything's so much more egregious, slowed down. And so like just looking at that, in VAR and then giving that in the context of how the game's going, and this is most likely going to decide a game. Like, I
Yeah.
just would rather not see it called. But at the end of the day, like, there was contact. He was in the box. Penalty for Belgium. They end up winning on it. Which is kind of a butterfly effect into what we will probably talk about later on with Belgium moving on and playing the U.S. But good for Belgium. I mean, the first 2 goals were super scrappy. They did well to get back into the game, but I didn't see it coming. I thought Senegal played a really good game, kind of shot themselves in the foot. Didn't go for the killer blow and kind of set back and let Belgium do their thing. And if Belgium's not chasing the game, they have enough quality to pull off what they did. And unfortunately, they ended up doing it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Props to Belgium for sticking with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's easy to obviously you're at a World Cup, so you're never gonna fully give up till that final whistle is blown. But just kind of sticking with it, trusting the process, if you want to put it that
Hmm.
way, and just kind of being patient and getting those 2 goals late to keep them in it was huge for them. So, moving on to a game we actually watched together, which was pretty dope.
Yeah,
The
this was fun.
U.S. playing a Bosnia side who got out of the group for the first time in their history. Impressive stuff for them. Believe it or not, up to this point, this was probably the best team maybe not. Maybe Turkey was, but
Yeah, for
definitely a little
sure.
bit of a better side than we were seeing in our group for sure. United States getting a 2-0 victory. Falarin Balogun. Wow. Can't say that apparently all of
Sounding
a
like
sudden.
me tonight.
I know, I'm
Jeez.
just fumbling all over everything. And
It's
then
all
Malik
right. It's all right.
Tillman putting in a very nice
Banger.
free kick.
Yeah.
Huge news in this one. I don't know if you want to talk about this now or like later on about the Balogun red, but red card for
Yeah.
Balogun. Um, I guess we'll go 2 cents on the game as a whole, and then we'll kind of come back to the Balogun thing at the end.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I felt like this was kind of just how most of the group games, other than Turkey, went.
Mm,
Turkey was a little bit like you could almost push that game to a side because we made wholesale changes because it didn't matter to us. And Turkey literally was playing for nothing, so they just threw everything into the attack. So it was just
mm-hmm.
a weird game in general. Definitely better than Bosnia, but this was a game that we were expected to win. We did win. We looked good. We had the game in a stranglehold. We had possession. We were pressing well. But it gave me a little bit of concern going into the next game, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But just like we had the 1 goal in the run of play, and then it took a free kick, and that's what ended up getting us over the hump. Like a 2-0 victory made it look more impressive than it actually was, in my mind. So
Yeah.
I just thought it was a little lucky. Obviously, we went down to 10 men. Very unfortunate red card for Flo, but yeah, game as a whole. Again, I think the best way to describe our tournament was we did what we needed to do against the competition that we needed to do it against. Like, usually we would struggle against teams like this and barely make it past them, but like against like Paraguay and Australia and Bosnia, it was like we're clearly better and we clearly showed it. And I guess that's the only step forward that we've taken since I guess
Yeah.
the last World Cup, you could say.
Yeah, I'm blanking a little bit on Balogun's goal at the end of the first half, but
It was
I know for
scrappy.
Tillman's at least like great goal from a free
It was
kick,
great.
super impressive. But you'd hope that the goalkeeper would do a little bit better on that one
Yeah.
if you're Bosnia. So
Hmm.
like you said, I think the scoreline flattered us just a little bit, even though it was only 2-0. But overall, yeah, solid game from us for the most part. We still had most of the ball, which again we'll touch on later, but you and I both were kind of concerned, like once we didn't have the ball, if we were going to be in trouble.
Hmm.
But we'll get to that in a little bit. But Bosnia, like they were scrappy. They had some honestly, they had a decent amount of opportunities. They were just bad in the
Hmm.
final third, not able
Yeah.
to finish, and we were able to kind of get off easy on a couple of those opportunities. But let's talk about the red card now. Obviously, Balogun, red card in the 64th minute. First of all, it was a pretty normal looking, challenge just live. And then they
Hmm.
came back to it. And then as soon as I saw the replay, I was like, they're going to
He's
give him a
gone.
red card. He's
Yeah.
gone, dude. He's
Yeah.
cooked. But obviously, a lot of to do about if it was a red card, if it wasn't. Went to VAR. Obviously, they have everything slowed down and pictures and all this other stuff. Do you think it was a red card? Yes or no?
Yes, I actually do. Cause like we've seen way worse. And I just think, and like, it's just, I've grown up my whole life. Like, if you catch someone with studs, especially like that much, it's a red card. And
Especially if
like,
you're raking down like that.
yeah, and you're raking down the guy's ankle and you're twisting it and stepping on it. Like, yeah, sure, maybe there wasn't intent, but like I've just always learned, like, the whole point of a red card and that being the call is to like make players aware of, like, maybe I shouldn't make this challenge like this
Yeah.
because I might get a red card. Yeah, I'm not trying to hurt the guy, but it just keeps players from going in with different like on different tackles that they probably shouldn't. And that was just
Yeah.
one where it's like the ball's on the other side. You have to go through the man to even try to get it. I like the aggressiveness, but like, let's just calm down. And so, in my opinion, I think it was the right call. It was a red. It
Yeah.
was unfortunate, but it was a red. Like, he wasn't trying to hurt him. Like, we've seen red cards that are blatant red cards where like
Mm-hmm.
someone's coming in and just like trying to break someone's leg. But like, yeah, letter of the
Yeah.
law, that's red all day long. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, that's exactly right. And that's what I've had such a hard time explaining to so many of the just the
Casuals.
casual like US fans that only tune in once every 4 years. Is just
Right.
like, oh, I've seen worse challenges. I was like, yeah, but that's not the point. Like you were
Yeah.
saying exactly. It's the, it's the, obviously you can't measure intent, but also like they're trying to stamp out that kind of stuff like for good.
Anyways.
Like
Yeah.
if you watch the Premier League in 2008, the amount of Brexit tackles that are just like flying in left and right, like
Yeah, dog.
you can kind of tell why they're trying to stamp down on certain stuff.
Absolutely.
But and maybe you prefer that game that way. If it was me, I'd maybe lean a little bit more towards the OG way of playing, but like it's something that they've decided they're going to crack down on. So when you see even though it's a slow-mo, a video like that of him being halfway up the calf with studs up and the dude's ankle like just in a really weird angle, like
Yeah.
that's going to be red all day long. There's no
All
way you
day
can't.
long.
And everybody's screaming about the Messi thing, but like, if everybody's yelling that it should have been a red on Messi, is like, yeah, I think everybody
Yeah, it
can
should
agree with
have.
that.
Yeah.
But then they're coming back to the inconsistency by FIFA, and that's where like I would agree with them. Is like,
Yeah.
yeah, like it should have obviously been a red card on Messi as well. And
Absolutely.
then we're not talking about this Balogun one as much. But I was gonna leave this part for maybe the second half, but FIFA initially came out the next day and said they're going to stand by it. It's going to be a suspension. And then about 24 hours before the game, FIFA came out and said that they were going to announcing that they were accepting the United States appeal, apparently with a lot of discussions in back rooms with other people and the United
Including our
States. And
president.
yeah, all the way up to the president apparently made a call.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, did you see his little clip today talking about it? The most
No.
uninformed soccer dude of all time. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it eventually gets overturned. What's your 2 cents on that? And I have some opinions about it, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah. First of all, just an entire like a disgrace when it comes to just the World Cup and FIFA. Like, we've known for a while that FIFA's only interested in their own agendas and do a lot of shady things. And a lot of people will point to like what they did for Ronaldo, this, that, and the other. But just in the context of this and like how this got done, no transparency. I hated it, to be honest. Like, I absolutely hated it, and like we'll get into the game, but I think it ended up being a huge distraction for us. And the biggest problem I have is they didn't come back and go, oh yeah, you guys are right, this wasn't a red card. Like, sure,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
we didn't give Messi a red card, so why are we giving Flo a red card in the same situation? Yada yada, our fault, we take it back. No, they said, nah, it's a red card offense. He still has one, but he doesn't have to be suspended. We're going to put him
I
on
know,
probation
dude.
instead. And that's my biggest thing. It's just like the blatant favoritism because he plays for the US men's national team, and our freaking president just told his words. I'm not going to sit here and call him a liar. But he said he didn't tell him to do it, but he was like, you need to review this. Uh, and then it comes out 24 hours before the game, like, flows back in. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to serve a suspension. I was just like, this is ridiculous, and it makes, in the end, it doesn't matter, and we'll touch on it, but Like, if we had won that game, it's all anybody would have talked about, and it wouldn't have been like, "Yay, we made it to the quarters." It would have been like, "Oh my gosh, the world hates us because Flo played in this game."
Yeah, I completely agree, and yeah, that's honestly the biggest thing that really rubbed me the wrong way is like the fact that they said, "Hey, this is still a red card, but you can still play in the World Cup. We'll just move it back to some friendlies or whatever."
Yeah.
Was just absolutely wild to me. And like people bring up the Ronaldo thing, which by the way, Ronaldo was not the only one that benefited from this, but there's
Mhm.
like I think 4 or 5 players that either got an accumulation of yellows or red cards in the qualifiers and were allowed to play in the World Cup. So it's not just a Ronaldo thing. But
Mhm.
like for me, like I don't know if this is actually an actual rule or not, but for me, like I think that's fine. Like if you're gonna get like a red in qualifiers against some random Ireland team or like, whatever podunk teams you're playing in qualifiers, like that would be absolutely brutal if you couldn't play the World Cup because of that. To me, like qualifiers is like even though it's not a tournament, I would consider that to be a separate tournament from the World Cup.
Right,
Whereas
right.
like Balogun, he got a red in the Red Cup and in the World Cup.
Mhm.
Like that's completely different in my mind. And going back to the favoritism, like it does sound like Trump kind of came in like late on and was like they were already talking about it, like how can we get this guy to play, yada yada, and he just kind of was adding another layer into his like let me make a call to like kind of push this over
Yeah.
the edge kind of thing.
Just
But
meddling.
yeah, but like I think the reason that they did like obviously we're benefiting from the fact that we're a host nation. I think he's one of our best players. Give us a better shot against Belgium. Without him, you and I were talking like we got no shot against Belgium. Ended up we got no shot even with him, but whatever. We'll talk about that. But I feel like this also has the layers of soccer in America like so many I feel like we're constantly on this thing about like soccer and like how we can push it out to more people in America and like get it more popular and bring more people more aware about the MLS, all this stuff. I
Mhm.
think that like for the casual observer looking at this and like whether like obviously a lot of people think that it shouldn't have been a red and obviously they're dumb, but if they think that, let's let them think that if they are coming into soccer thinking, "Oh man, like I'm finally interested in," and they're gonna like red card this guy like
Mhm.
undeservedly, and we don't even have a chance, like that like turns off so many people that I feel like that also had a big time, um, you know, was one of the big reasons that they also like took it away. It's just because obviously the amount of money that the U.S. brings to a host as a host nation to a World Cup, but also like in the name of like keeping people interested in the United States, I feel like
Yeah.
was also a big reason why they rescinded. Another big reason I thought of immediately. I was like the precedence that this sets, dude, going
Mm.
forward, like you're already seeing it with England. Like the Kwanzaa guy that got sent off in
Mhm.
the England Mexico game, which we'll touch on in a second as well. They're already appealing that. Like
Mhm.
every single red card from now on,
Will be
like
appealed.
will be appealed. And when they say no, we're not going to, lift the suspension, there's going to be outrage because
Yeah.
oh, you did it for the US, why can't we get that? Like
Yeah.
every single sketchy call, even if it's not a sketchy call, they're going to appeal it. This sets terrible precedents going forward. There's only one other red card that's ever been rescinded in the World Cup history. It was like back in like the 60s, where just the
Mhm.
wild, wild west, probably anything's allowed. Since there's been like over 200 red cards. And like, there's bad red cards, you could probably say in every World Cup, but like, it is what it is. You can't just like go in and like, rescind stuff. But
Yeah, for real.
even I mean, I'm as a US MNT fan, I was happy he played. I was happy
Mhm.
that he was available to play. But again, I hate the precedents that it sets,
Yeah.
and just the favoritism it shows from a body in FIFA that is just getting more and more shameless by each World Cup. It feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure we'll talk about it more once we touch on that Belgium USA game, uh, for sure. But we gotta kinda wrap up these round of
Yeah,
32 games. Spain beats Austria. Austria really just didn't have a chance against Spain. I think Spain's coming into form.
yeah.
I
Never
actually
really
don't think
looked in it, to be honest. They never got out of first gear. Spain did so.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch this game because I was driving, didn't really care. I looked at the score. Oh, Spain's up
I didn't
3-0.
either.
All right. All right. I'm not going to waste my time with that. But the game after Portugal and Croatia was a game.
Dude.
Dude, such a good game. I had it on while I was driving. I was so upset that I couldn't actually pay attention to it. I did get to watch the end because we had made like our final stop before we got into Michigan. And so I got to watch the ending of it. And bro, like so close, and like no one actually showed us the actual like technology in the ball, but apparently obviously before the World Cup they talked about putting this chip in a ball where we can like tell where it is offsides if it goes out, if someone touches it. And for the first time in this tournament it was actually used. Croatia ended up being offsides because one of their players touched the ball, which was initially going to a player that was onside when the first ball was passed, but he touched it and his player was like, it's just so
Yeah.
confusing. But anyways, that it ended up reversing a huge goal that would have tied it. Was it?
Yeah, tied it.
Yeah, it would have been an equalizer, but Portugal
Yeah.
ended up getting through.
Before that, though, I want to touch on the Ramos goal, dude. Like,
Yeah,
boy got up between two guys to direct that ball in. That was huge. But going back to the goal that was scored, by the way, deep into extra time. Like we
deep.
were
Yeah,
super deep. So I don't want to hear from the Croatians thinking that they got scammed. But they, however you look at it, they might feel that way or not. But the technology, yeah, they did show like a graph though, where there's
okay,
like
did they?
waves if the ball gets hit, and there was like the slightest of dinks, like when they
There.
time it up and
Yeah,
stuff, which is like wild to think about. But like we were talking about a few weeks ago, like I feel like that stuff would be so easy to fake. Like just
exactly.
create a graph with a little bump here and just
Yeah,
broadcast it
AI
out
real
there,
quick.
like
Yeah.
So it may have touched his hair ever so slightly. It was so close. Like we didn't
Yeah.
have a camera angle that's like, even though we have all these crazy cameras, like it was kind of blurry when they zoom it in there. So probably the only person that really knows is the guy that headed it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, brutal for Croatia. If he actually did come in contact with, it was a clear offsides. He was like way off.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely felt bad for Croatia there, but um, you know, I was obviously rooting for Portugal to go through. So yeah, I think, like I said, if he did hit it, he was offside. So there's nothing really more you can say about that.
Yeah. And we said goodbye to our first legend of the tournament,
That's what I
Croatia,
was about to
bowing
say.
out.
Yeah,
And we say goodbye to Luka Modric, who obviously had that great run with Croatia to the final, losing to France in 2018. Obviously won the Ballon d'Or, kind of was the
yeah,
first to like break up the cycle of Messi and Ronaldo. Yeah, just a great player. He's like one of those players you don't hate. Like even when he was with Real Madrid, like I was
for
like, dude,
sure.
I really like Modric. Like I just
Yeah,
he just plays the game right. Super crafty midfielder. Always has an engine, even at this age. So,
yeah.
sad to see
They
him go.
they have a couple OGs too. They obviously took the lead in this game through Ivan
Perisic, yeah.
Perisic, who's 37, I think. So last World Cup for him as well. He was definitely one of those
Sadness.
stalwart guys during their good World Cup runs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
moving on to Switzerland, Algeria. Not gonna lie, I didn't see too much of this game.
Nope.
The Swiss always
It's
good in the World
late.
Cups, man. So good in the knockouts. They almost always like lose on penalties or something. Like always a
Right.
super tough out. Get a pretty easy dub here against Algeria. Algeria not really having enough. I think they qualified as a third place team, so
Mm-hmm.
little lucky there. But props to the Swiss, man, always there. Getting to like quarterfinals feels like every time. Euros too, man. They're always in their late tough out. But
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
yeah, moving on to the round of 16. Egypt beating the Aussies 4-2 on penalties. I think this was the first
Crazy.
penalty shootout we had in the knockouts after a
Yeah.
1-1 in regular time. What'd you think about the penalty shootout here? Egyptians moving on.
Yeah, I mean, Australia just didn't end up having the quality. They had some young guys taking penalties, and one of them ended up missing a huge penalty, which kind of ended up being their demise. But dude,
Dude, yeah, sorry.
after seeing Australia do this, I was just like, and Paraguay do what they did to France, I was just like, are we good? Like, it gave me a little bit of hope about our team. Obviously, it was thrashed and rubbed in the dirt, but like I just started thinking to myself, I was like, maybe our group was a little tougher than
Yeah.
tougher than we gave it credit for, but obviously it didn't end up. But like, good for Australia. Like, Egypt was a tough team, as we saw today, which we'll talk about. So good for the Aussies showing up and getting it 2 penalties, and coming up short in that. But yeah, good for them.
Yeah, the last dude to miss for Australia was a 17-year-old center
Crazy.
back. Which, like, what is going on with all of these teams, bro? Germany, Australia. We had one today, which we'll touch on in a second. But, like, where are all these midfielders and wingers and attackers
Yeah.
not stepping up where you're sending not just a center back, but a 17-year-old child up there in the
Mm-hmm.
biggest moment in front of millions of people, not just obviously worldwide, but like the biggest moment in your country's, summer right here,
Yeah.
to have him take one. Like, there's no more experienced midi or something that will step up. Like, are they all just pansies? Like, I don't understand.
I
So I have
guess.
I have zero, like, I have so much respect for him for stepping up, chest out and ripping one, even though he missed. Like, at least he's stepping up, dude. Not like these other pansies that are over there on the bench,
Mm-hmm.
saying no when they're asked to step up, like they were for Germany as well, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Insane.
know. I always thought I always thought the penalty lineup was such a thing that you actually like thought through very like, I don't
Yeah.
know,
You'd
strategically, but now
you'd
it
think
just
it's
seems
already
like,
set up, but
yeah, you'd think, but it just looks like year 1, year 2, year 3, go out there, just like smash them in. Like, yeah, and just like the amount of like, you can't say non-skill, but like, as center backs, you're not as good with the ball, as good at, like, you're back there because you can't score goals. You can stop goals, but you can't score them. So like, just
yeah.
doesn't make sense to have them taking penalties
I just
before other players.
I just can't believe, like, the clip we have coming out of the Germany game when Kimmich's
Yeah.
there in front of his team, like, it's getting late in the shootout and he's asking his players, like, if they want to take one,
And then
and
like,
Goretzka
no.
just goes, no, no, no. I'm just like, bro, are you freaking serious? Like,
Yeah.
first of all, even if you're scared to take a penalty, if your captain asks you, hey, you want to take a penalty,
Yes,
like,
sir. I'm
just for your own, like, you know respect, when
Yeah.
you're talking to your captain, you're like, yeah, I'll take a penalty. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing, dog? So, like, if you miss, okay, you miss, but like, at least you got the, what's to step up and take one. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
just insane stuff. But moving on, Argentina almost blowing it to Cape Verde, dude,
Dude.
coming up with a 3-2 dub in overtime. Not gonna lie, I did not watch this game from the very beginning just because I thought it was gonna be a rout. We were kind of
Right.
out. Ended up getting some food and they had the game on. And I was just kind of like watching it with one eye, kind of thing. But then I saw Cape Verde scored, and I literally like gasped. I was like, like, I
Yeah.
was so shocked that they had
Dog.
scored, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on right now? Obviously, chaos ensued after
Mm-hmm.
that. Pretty big, stuff going back, and just obviously was tied for a long time. Going to extra time, tied 1-1 actually. Lissandro Martinez getting a goal in the extra time, and then Cabral just ripping one, dude, from the corner of the box. That might go down as one of the nicest goals in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then Argentina getting a third later on. It technically went down as an own goal, unfortunately. But Cape Verde obviously doing their nation proud. And what do you got to say about the Argentinians cutting it close here with the late escape?
Yeah. We were talking about this game. Obviously, I didn't get to watch it because I was like with friends and we were just like talking and hanging out, and we didn't have the game on. But I was keeping up with like the alerts, and I was like, holy cow, they're down. They're
Mm.
still down. We tied it. We're going overtime. Oh, we won. And it was just like wow. Like, Cape Verde was definitely like the one of the biggest stories of the tournament, and them being able to um yeah, just handle Argentina this way and stick with them, and their goalkeeper like just playing out of his mind, and obviously one of the bigger stories coming out of the tournament as well. But like,
Sure.
props to them. Like, if they had pulled this off, dude, it would have been one of the greatest upsets in Cup history. Like, a team
V
that
for
is
me.
is like tiny, this one of the smallest nation in the World Cup, take out the Giants Argentina, or the defending champs, would have been headlines for weeks, dog. For
Yeah,
weeks.
absolutely insane stuff. Honestly, the when they pan to Argentina faces, especially after the second goal where he just rips that one from all the way down, and like
That's
they're
crazy.
just like utter shock on their face. It's basically like everybody watching. It's just like, dude, are these guys really like in it right now? Like
Yeah.
absolutely wild scenes. But yeah, big props to them. Vozinha, obviously this is his last World Cup game. So sad, dude. He might not be back for a next one. He's gonna be 44 after
Yeah.
that. But a lot of rumors
Gotta
about him
run it.
possibly actually joining Messi at Inter Miami, which
Yeah.
is a little bit
That'd be
interesting. That'd be cool to
that'd be
see. But
that'd be crazy.
um, I have to get your 2 cents, dude, on some of the reffing stuff. I think the first one everybody's screaming about is when Lisandro Martinez scores his really nice goal. By the way, puts that upper 90 with his left. A little coming together. Um, Possibly preventing a Cape Verde guy from getting the ball at that back post. For me, it was just a coming together. I don't think it was that big of a deal, but when you're Argentina, everybody's going to yell and scream at every decision. What do you think about that one, first of all?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't get to watch this game. I didn't see
Oh my
anything.
goodness.
I didn't see anything. I'm
All
sorry.
right, fair enough. We'll move on to the one.
Moving
Actually, did
on.
you see the clip that I sent you about the dude getting tripped late on?
The Cape Verde
Yeah,
player?
yeah, yeah. That was like in the last minute of regular time. Cape
Yeah,
Verde
you
had him on their
did. You
on their
did.
heels. He
Like,
cuts in, trip from right outside the box. Ref not interested.
yeah, I mean, I saw that clip with zero context other than the fact that it's like this would have been crazy if this got called.
Yeah,
All I'm gonna say is like even in today's game, there's a lot of controversy when Messi plays and FIFA's involved. So we're just gonna kind
sure.
of leave it at that, and we'll touch on it more when we talk about the Egypt game that happened today.
Fair enough, fair enough. I just felt bad for them to like not even have a chance there at the very end because it was
Right?
tied in regular
Yeah.
time, and I was like, man, like give him a shot, dude. Like I just
Yeah.
want to see, like imagine somebody like just ripped it in from out there, dude, like all the way in that corner.
I know,
Would have been
right?
scenes. But last thing for Cape Verde, I was seeing some really cool videos of them returning home, and just based on the population that we've been hearing of Cape Verde, I'm pretty sure the whole island came to the airport
Everybody was there.
to welcome these brothers home, and fully deserved, man. Absolutely crazy stuff. Obviously, in their first World Cup ever, not just to not lose basically, but also didn't lose obviously to this game, but taking the world champs to all the way to the wire, man, giving them all they can handle.
Yeah.
Super cool stuff, especially because most of these dudes are playing like second, third division Portugal and like Iceland and all these rando freaking leagues you've never heard of. So
Hmm.
big props, man. Any given Sunday, like we say in the NFL, it's just any given day as well.
That's right.
Here for the World Cup. Moving on to Colombia, stifling the Ghana team coming into this World Cup with a little bit of expectation, just because with the expanded World Cup, you're hoping to kind of maybe slide through to the round of 32, maybe get a good draw and go a little bit farther than your nation's ever been before. We've seen that a few different times, but Colombia, too solid at the back, getting a scrappy 1-0 1-0 victory to send them into the next round.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of those better games in the round of 32 because Colombia's been, I wouldn't say sneaky good, like they're a big nation, but they've definitely been one of those dark horse teams. Then Ghana was another dark horse team that everybody had, and yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, Colombia's defense just ended up being too much for Ghana. Um, their offense hasn't really been there, but just being able to keep teams from scoring and then taking your chances when you got them. We both have been super impressed by James Rodriguez, who is older, but
Sure.
like still like kind of in a messy way, like pulling the strings just with his
Can
IQ and
ping a
just
ball for
one
sure.
of those like dying breeds of footballers that's just like so smart and knows how to impact a game, not just like with his athleticism, but just like with his mind as well. So good for Colombia getting past Ghana. Huge result.
Yeah, absolutely. James, so many of those players like at his level, like the quality is still there, just maybe not the running and all the kind of extracurricular stuff you sometimes have to do. So if he could just like stand in the middle of the park and ping passes around, they're
Mhm.
going to be in good shape. So big props to them getting the next round. Moving on, Canada. July 4th, losing to Morocco 3-0. I watched a little bit of this first half, but kind of had other things going on. Got out of hand for them against Morocco, which we kind of all expected. Ended
Mhm.
up losing 3-0. Jesse Marsh and the Canadians out of the World Cup in the round of 16. Do you think that old Canada here can count this as a successful World Cup?
I think so, because I mean, They showed a lot of fight, and they obviously like this is the furthest they've obviously ever gone because this was the first World Cup that they actually were able to get a point out of a game.
Yeah,
Their group wasn't like incredibly hard. They actually didn't end up winning it, but they had that one game against Qatar where they scored 6 goals, which was crazy.
right.
So I think all in all, it was a good tournament for them. Glad that they had a good showing with it on home soil for them, but like, this was always gonna be what happened, like, Morocco was just too good. They kept it pretty close late, but,
Yeah.
like, once that first goal went in for Morocco, it kind of floodgates open and it was over by the
Yeah, I would
end.
absolutely say it's a success for them. Obviously, they've had a little bit of a better team in recent years, but only their third time ever in a World Cup. Before 2022, they hadn't been to one since '86. So,
Crazy.
absolutely a successful World Cup for them. Not just to get out of their group, but to also win a game, which is huge. Like you said, also 6-0 against Qatar. I know it's Qatar, but like 6 goals in a World Cup, man, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I do feel bad that Alphonso Davies basically missed like the whole World Cup.
Yeah.
Not just because it's a World Cup, but it's a home World Cup. Like that's just absolutely brutal for them. Obviously, by far their best player. So a little
Mhm.
bit sad for that, but I think they've, acquitted themselves well, and I think they look to 2030 and, maybe able to build on that a little bit more. I think Jesse Marsh, for all the Americans that hate him just because of his back and forth with the U.S. men's national team and everything, I think that he is a solid coach for them. Seems to really fit just the vibe they have going on around there. So hopefully they'll be back in 2030 and ready to rock. So. But Morocco on to the next round. If they look really dangerous. I think they could be a sleeper to get really far. Maybe like Croatia run in 2018, or maybe even going all the way if they get lucky. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. France squeaking by Paraguay in a intensely physical game. I don't know if you got to watch this, but my buddies, I wasn't super dialed on this game, but I know that France was kind of tied late, but it never really felt like Paraguay was dangerous. They were just kind of mucking the
Mhm.
game up, which kind of was what they did against Germany. But my friends were texting me like, "Dude, this is a disgrace. Like these Paraguay guys are just trying to hurt the French team. Like they're not even playing. Like turned it on, and by that time uh, France had gone up through an Mbappe penalty in the 70th minute. And it's true, like even late, like Paraguay wasn't even trying to like attack. They were just trying to like fight with the French team. So it was just a pretty wild game here. I don't know if you had a chance to see this on Sunday afternoon, but or was that July 4th? Yeah, I think
It
that
was
was
July
July 4th.
4th, yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter, but we're able to see this game and France coming out with the dub.
Yeah, I watched, I was keeping tabs on it because obviously we were at Peter's, in-laws and we were just having a good time, but then when it got late, it was like the 68th minute or something like that. It was pretty late in the game that it was still tied. I was like, "Dude,
Yeah.
Paraguay is holding their own, like, what's going on?" And then they gave up the penalty, and that's
Mhm.
where I was just kinda like, they don't have enough to like create anything and get any more chances. So like even that 1-0, I was pretty confident that France was going to be able to hold on to, but like props to them. I mean, yeah, they were super scrappy. Like I would even like you were kind of alluding to probably even more than just saying they were scrappy.
A little dirty.
They were a little dirty, they're very physical. It looked like a undermatched South American team. Like just
Yeah.
we're gonna do all the antics. We're gonna get under your skin. We're gonna try to get you to react and kind of like what Panama did to the U.S. and it ended up working. Where it's like, all right, you guys are clearly better. We're just gonna make one of you blow your top off. You're gonna shove us, get a red card, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna take our chances. Like that's kind
Yeah.
of what Paraguay was trying to do,
Yeah.
and heck,
And
it almost worked.
yeah, I mean, you'd understand it because that's basically what did against Germany, and it
Yeah,
absolutely worked. But maybe taking it a little bit too far in some of their antics in this
yeah.
game, unfortunately, just because, like you said, it was just getting dirty towards the end there, just unnecessarily. And Mbappe shut him up with just drilling a penalty. I will say their goalkeeper though in this game, absolute MVP, dude. He was saving
Mhm.
everything. Obviously, France only winning 1-0, but again, just complete assault at their keeper's end, and he was up to the task several times. A bunch of good saves, so big props to him at least in this game. But France moving on to the next game we have Brazil. This was Sunday. I know that for sure because I was
Yeah.
watching as I was on the way to our 250 event. I just
Nice.
walk in and there's like 4 or 5 people that I can see that I know. They just have
Have
their
it on.
phones like
Yeah,
this, just like
yeah.
me as I was walking in.
The World Cup
It
is
was at the
on, that's
very
right.
end of the game. But Brazil, man, losing to Norway 2-1. Holland coming in immensely clutch. Some crazy
So
stats
good.
out of this one. He touched the ball like 20 times or something. He's just kind of walking most of the game, but able to bag a couple goals where would eventually bury Brazil. Neymar getting a final goal, and he announced after the game and they had lost that that was his final appearance for the Brazilian national team, that he was going to retire. A little bit of a clown show at the end there by Neymar, but what do you think about this game as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought that Brazil would lose just the way that they just haven't looked convincing all
Yep.
tournament, and they just really didn't have answers off the bench. Their new generation just isn't the old generation, and like it's not supposed to be, but like it's a little bit of like what the US is going through. Like, obviously, the players are way more talented than the US, but just like the
Yeah.
lack of mentality and the entitlement kind of seems to be there, and the lack of wanting to defend and do the dirty work. It just really seemed rampant through this Brazil side, where Norway had nothing to play for. First World Cup in a long time, first World Cup for Holland. Obviously, having a really good run, lost to France after sitting a bunch of their starters, and then they just showed like they were the better team on that day, and Holland is on a tear, and this is kind of what we always have been waiting for. Once he got to the tournament, because he hasn't been there. This is the first time, and he's in the Golden Boot race. He's leading a Norway team that's like really good. Like
Hmm.
once they knew that they were gonna win, like they were up pretty early. I mean, pretty late in the
Yeah.
game. Like you just saw them get more confident, and like Odegaard's drilling around people and bouncing around, and skipping
Yeah.
past people. And I was just like, dude, if they play with this confidence, they're a real dark horse. Maybe not to win the whole thing, but they can make some noise,
Yeah.
coming up here in the quarters and maybe even the semis for sure.
Yeah. Norway just play really well together. Their chemistry is
Mm,
off the charts, and they play like they have a number 9 like Erling Haaland up there. Like
yeah.
a lot of the stuff that Portugal should probably be doing with Ronaldo. But just the way that they play together and like some of their passes, some of the just the intricacies and just the movement off the ball, you can tell that
Mhm.
they've um, played together for a while. Obviously, I think they won every single game in their qualifiers leading up to the World Cup. So
Mhm.
this collection of players has played together really well for a long time. And Holland just again being patient, like again, he didn't touch the ball very much, but and there's I think it's the second clip where he's literally just walking, just like kind of chilling, and then he sees the ball coming in. That's when he takes like 2 steps, jumps, boom, goal. Like just being
Mhm.
patient
Yeah.
and just knowing, that the letting the game come to you, I think is a super underrated quality of his. And Norway, man, I don't want to say it's 2 teams in a row, but like Croatia 2018, I could see them
Yeah.
maybe just surprising some people. I'm not forgetting right now who they play in the next round. Not exactly sure how
England.
the bracket's going to work out, but I think they play England next, which should be a good
Yeah.
game. But yeah, big time stuff for Norway. I was
And
super
they can
impressed
beat
with them.
England.
Super solid at the back, and Brazil, kind of second what you were saying. We've talked about this for a couple weeks now, but you look at their starting 11, they just don't have, except for Vinny, like those guys that you just think are game changers when they're playing. Like their outside backs are terrible, which have historically been they've had some of the best left and right backs in the history of football, but they're playing like these Brazilian dudes from like the Brazilian league, and then Martinelli starting on the left, and he's like squad player for Arsenal. You got Ryan on the right, which is like who is this dude? Cunha's a nice player for United, but it's just kind of mid. So it's
Mhm.
just not the Brazil that you'd expect to see, and they miss chances too, like that. I don't know if you saw that Endrick one on the counter, man.
Yeah. That's
Brutal. Like
bad.
I know you're left-footed, but brother, try it with your right. Like I mean, that was such a nice ball by Vinny in there. That was the best clear-cut opportunity that they had, and he just could not get his feet started, trying so hard to kick it with his left. I was just like, dude, that's insane. So
Scrub. Yeah.
yeah, absolute scrub. But penalty laid on for Brazil. Neymar got subbed on. Looked absolutely atrocious. I don't know what he was doing on the field that early. he just looks out of shape. I mean, it's just sad to see, but I'm not sure what because I mean, he slid into the middle and then Vinny having to, slide out farther than where he was playing. It just kind of messed everything up. And Neymar's just, like I said, he's a touch under where he should be probably at this point. Struggled with injuries this whole time. But ended up getting a penalty super late on. He converts it, talking all kinds of trash to that keeper, dude. I'm like,
Yeah, dude.
first of all, you're losing. Like, you should be trying to get the ball back to midfield so you can like get a second goal,
Get a
hopefully, even though
chance,
there's no
yeah.
time left. But like, you're losing. How are you gonna chirp to the keeper and to all the Norway dudes when you're down like that? Like, it's just a
Mhm.
super weird way to go out, to be honest. Like, he had to have known this was going to be his last game. Like, why are you doing all that jazz? So super
Yeah.
sad way to see him go out and saying farewell to a legend here.
Yeah, that was super sad. That was probably the biggest takeaway from it. Other than like Holland and what he's doing with Norway, like what he's doing is incredibly impressive. He's the best player out of Norway and he's showing it and he's dragging them through this tournament, which is super cool. But yeah, saying goodbye to Neymar, just like it's hard not to like almost get emotional just with like all these people that we're saying goodbye to, like
Mm.
all these people we grew up wanting to be like, playing for you, like playing for your club, me playing for my high school team and stuff like that, just to like who we tried to emulate in our games, and now we're saying goodbye to them as we get older and they get older. It's just really sad, and like just seeing those players leave is a tough thing to swallow. But time's undefeated, and you would like to see Brazil go a little further, but honestly, kind of happy that it's Norway. Like, definitely rooting for Norway
Yeah.
the rest of the tournament. But yeah, really sad to see Neymar go, and also in the way that he went, like you said, just not being a realistic option for Brazil. Kind of always felt like he was put in the squad by Ancelotti just because, like, hey, this is your last one, I'll throw you a bone type thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just kind of sad just because, I mean, Neymar, 34 is old as far as like, most soccer players is concerned, but like, as long as some of these guys are lasting now, like you say, only 34. So the fact that he's fizzing out,
Yeah.
not just playing in Brazil now, but has so many injuries. Like with Brazil, he doesn't look that great. It's just really sad to see. And I think the way that he'll be remembered is maybe not quite as good as he even was, just because all the Brazil greats, man, they got World Cups to their names, and he just doesn't have
Mhm.
one. Not able to win one with Brazil, unfortunately. And I think that's kind of the story of his career as well. I mean, nobody had more swagger than that guy when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Just the way that he was playing, and when he went to PSG, obviously dominating there, but not able to get their coveted Champions League that they now have two of, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, just super sad to kind of see his downfall, for lack of a better word. And I know a lot of that has to do with injuries, but it is a little bit sad to see one of the greats. He's still going to be playing, I think, but just not for Brazil, and not going to be leading them going forward, unfortunately. So
Yeah, that's tough.
for sure. So we say goodbye to Brazil. But moving on to the next game, England.
Banger.
Mexico. I feel like this was the
Banger.
game of the tournament, at least in my
Oh,
mind. I was unable to watch most of the first half just with the event and everything, but I was able to
yeah.
kind of tune in for the second. Like I said, game of the tourney for me. Back and forth stuff. Mexico not backing down at all from a really good England side.
Yeah.
England finally had Jude Bellingham showing up to play, which was
Showed up to
a
the
good
party,
thing. Harry
yeah.
Kane doesn't have to carry as much as he did, but
Mhm.
Jude Bellingham getting a brace in this game, very impressive stuff from him. England also getting a red card in the second half. Do you think that this red card was deserved before we move on to how they won the game?
I think this was deserved as well, but like
Studs
I'm
up,
just
high on the shin.
studs up high on the shin. You're coming in like putting a player at danger. Perfectly acceptable red card. My biggest thing is just like this tournament has been so up and down. Like it all started with the Messi one that should have been a red card. Like that's what set off like what is a red card? Are we playing favorites or are we just letting that go now? And then you see multiple instances where it's like, okay, you didn't call that for Messi, but now you're calling it for us. So it just threw the whole tournament out of whack when it came to red cards, let alone the Flo Balogun nonsense that's going on. And you touched on it. This red card,
Nice.
England's already trying to appeal, which there's not even an appeal system in the bylaws for the FIFA World Cup. So explain that. The appeal system is probably their freaking government calling FIFA and being like, hey, what's going on,
Yeah,
just
I
because
guess
it's
the
not.
English prime minister or whatever doesn't have as much sway as our guy, huh?
Yeah, but anyways, this was a fantastic game. I missed the first half as well because this was the day that we were driving in, and we had gotten home. And I was actually worried. I was like, we were getting home late, like later and later and later, just because it was kind of dragging. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna miss the whole game because I thought it started at 8, but it started at 9. I was like, dude, let's go. I'm gonna
Brutal.
catch. I'm gonna catch. I'm gonna catch the second half, and I
Yeah.
did, and I'm glad I did because it was an instant classic. Obviously, England going down to 10 men, Mexico throwing everything in the box, which is kind of like a good and bad thing because that's all they were doing. We're throwing crosses in the box. And it's like, let's get a little more inventive. Like, obviously, this is not working. They had a few more chances left in the game, but then they ended up, like, England ended up coming up with a big result, grinding it out. And, yeah, I mean, that England was deserving of this game with how they played.
Yeah.
And I think going into the game, I thought Mexico had enough to beat them, and I thought I was going to
I
be
did
right,
too.
but then they just,
On
I
Yeah,
don't know, England
honestly, a
pulled it out
little bit of a smash and grab here for England,
a
honestly.
little
Like
bit,
getting 2 goals in 2 or 3 minute span there at the end of the first half
and then
was
parking it.
huge. Yeah, pretty much parking it after that. Obviously, Harry Kane getting a pen in the second half to give them the lead. But again, man, Mexico just responded. They're just different animals when they play at home. It's just absolutely
Yeah.
insane to see. Raul Jimenez getting on those crosses late and creating opportunities was huge. I was a little bit miffed by the substitutions, taking off Mora so early in the first
Mm,
half, and then also Quinones. He was a little bit later, but like he's been ball. I think he has like 4 goals for them. He's kind of been a big time goal scorer for them. So you'd think they'd leave him on needing a goal, but again,
yeah.
Mora was controlling everything. He's going to be such a good player. I mean, he's like 17 years old. He's controlling everything in the middle of the field, and they still took him off. So I was a little bit confused by that, but whatever. Mexico, I think, set a record for the amount of crosses that they put in a box
Yeah.
in a World Cup game. But big props to England for surviving. I I said this, but the fact that they had to bring on Dan Burn, in the second half, like just like why is Harry Maguire not in this squad, dude? Like not
Yeah.
only in this squad, but he should be starting. Why are
Would have
we
been so
Dan
much more
Burn, dude? Like
serviceable.
he plays for
Yeah.
like Brighton or Newcastle or some crap like
Newcastle.
that.
Yeah.
34 years old. Like Maguire, you don't think is, but anyway, whatever. They ended up surviving, um, and yeah, qualified through to the quarterfinals by the skin of their teeth. And like
Yeah.
I said earlier, they will play Norway, which is going to be another banger of a
That's gonna be
game. But
such a good game.
it is a little bit sad to see Mexico go out. Even though I'm not hugely, it's not a total loss because this was the last game at the Azteca, no matter what. Which
Hmm.
I do think is kind of messed up that they make them come to the U.S. and play, even though they're a host country. It's
Right.
kind of dumb, but whatever. It's kind of how it shakes out. But would you say this is a successful World Cup for our co-host here in Mexico?
Absolutely. And honestly, they had enough quality to make a deeper run. They just ran into an England team that would not be beat, even though they were down to 10 men. I thought Mexico, out of the three host nations, had the most chance to actually do some damage. And like, I
Yeah.
didn't see them winning it, obviously, but like I said, they had enough quality. They almost beat England, and then they would have moved on to Norway. They could have beaten Norway too. Like, there's a world where we're watching Mexico make it to a semifinal. And
Hmm.
like barring who they play in that one, like heck, at that point it's anybody's game. Like like frick it. Let's see what happens. But no, I think it was absolutely a successful World Cup for them. They had such a fun team to watch. I was rooting for them playing in the Azteca, like just the aura around this team and just like that country and that stadium and their games was just it was awesome to watch. And I guess to their standards, it's kind of like what I'm saying. Like they had a good enough team to make it further. So you could look at that and be like, sure, it was a little bit, but you went out to England, like arguably a top 5 nation in the world, maybe even top 3, with the talent that they have. And it's like, it's not like you went out to some scrubs that made it that far or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but absolutely.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Mexico presented themselves really, really well at this World Cup. I honestly think that they're not just the best of the three host nations, but I also think that they perform the best.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Obviously, their clean sheet record, winning their games convincingly,
Mm-hmm.
and then also taking England all the way to the wire and having a chance at the end was super impressive. One of the favorites of the tournament, which unfortunately can't be said for the U.S. team because we lost to a Belgium side, which we'll obviously get into in a little bit, but not quite as good as an England team, and we got destroyed. So
Yeah.
in the constant constant comparison between us and Mexico, I think even though we both lost in the same round, I think they definitely presented themselves and performed a lot better than we
They were
did,
competitive.
unfortunately. Absolutely competitive, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you
Yeah.
said, man, if they squeaked out this one against England,
I mean,
Norway's beatable if you're beating England. So,
well,
like, I mean, what are we even talking about
the
here?
other thing too, even if it was Brazil that beat Norway, they could have beaten Brazil. Like, there's a world if they beat England, yeah, they're
Yeah,
in the semis. Like, I think the next game actually would have probably been easier than England. Like,
yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest, but we'll never
Pretty
know.
wild. But yeah, good stuff from Mexico. We'll see how the Gold Cup next summer goes for
Yeah.
the two countries here. But yeah, moving on to the next round, which happened yesterday. We're finally catching up to today's
Finally
stuff.
there.
Portugal and Spain. This game starting at 3 p.m. Portugal losing at the death to Spain with a Mikel
Sadness.
Merino. Frick that guy, dude. Like, he's so bad for Arsenal. He's so bad for Spain. Just pops up in this game and scores
Yeah.
a goal at the last minute here. Ronaldo stating that this is his final World Cup appearance. I have some doubts about that, but I'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
Disappointing World Cup for Portugal overall. Obviously, Spain are contenders in this one. This was always going to be a super tight game, but just felt like Portugal never really lived up to the expectations. Never really looked like they were comfortable in any of the games really that they played, except for I guess the one against Uzbekistan. But that's Uzbekistan, so whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no. They have to be the biggest disappointment of the entire tournament. Like, they
Yeah.
were one of the favorites to contend for the final just on paper. Had one to, like, on paper, just especially
On
their
paper is the
midfield.
best team except for France, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just did not come to fruition. I don't know if people are petty, like the players are petty towards Ronaldo and won't pass him the ball or something like that. There's definitely clips that show that they're reluctant to do so.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Like, I'm of the opinion, like, if you're playing to win, you got to trust everybody on your team. I don't care if you have like, there's that story like a while ago where, like, uh, for Belgium, I think it was like Courtois literally stole De
De
Bruyne's
Bruyne's
freaking
girl, yeah.
girl, and like they're still playing
They
together and
still
did
don't.
really
They don't really look at each other. It's
yeah,
so weird.
but they play together and like
Yeah.
they'll still pass each other. Like, sure, it's the goalkeeper, you're not passing to him, but the point is like you put all your differences aside once you're on the field and you put your nation and your team in front of those differences to win a game. And I just felt like there was something that the Portugal players could not get past and would not use Ronaldo to his fullest. Yeah, it's not the old Ronaldo,
Dude.
but he still has class.
Yeah. I'm
Like,
so glad you brought that up because I was gonna bring it up, not because I necessarily agree. Obviously all the Ronaldo guys are like, Ronaldo, everyone on Portugal hates him. They're not passing him the ball. Like, you need to pass the ball to Ronaldo, blah blah blah. They
yeah.
don't fight for him like they fight for Mbappe or whatever. But dude, like you said, the clips that come out, dude, of like him making a great run in behind,
Yeah.
and they're staring at him and they're not playing him in.
Not
You
playing
mean
the
to tell
ball.
me that Bruno Fernandez can't ping a ball like in behind there? Like, record-setting assist provider in the Premier League this last year. He can't ping a
Mhm.
ball. Vitinha, back-to-back Champions League winner. He can't ping a ball in behind. He can ping a ball in behind when Nuno Mendes is making a great run. That was a
Yeah.
great ball. I think it was actually Bruno Fernandes on that one. That was a great ball in behind by Mendes. Why are like it's just so it's so interesting that you say that because like I don't know what it is. Like Joy asked me this and when we were talking about it, she's like it just doesn't seem like they like it seems like there's something there. You can't really like put your finger on it, but it feels like there's something there. And like the only thing that I can think of, except for jealousy, which, these are dudes. We're not like, it's not the WNBA where everybody's just jealous. I don't think it's
Yeah.
that. Bruno Fernandez, maybe, whatever. But, I really think that it might be for some of those guys. Like, I don't know if you ever watched the Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan, but there's an episode in there where they're just kind of like honing in on the fact that a lot of Michael Jordan's teammates like hated him because he was like so driven and so like competitive and like
Mhm.
just kind of a jerk sometimes, I guess, just in his pursuit of greatness. And I think Ronaldo might have some of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, obviously we see what we see on the field, but like I don't know necessarily what it is behind the scenes in practice and all this stuff, but like I think his, you know, constant drive for perfection and for more performances and for more trophies and for obviously the World Cup as well. Like I don't know if maybe behind the scenes like there's some instances where it just kind of takes, it just rubs people the wrong way, like his own teammates, and they kind of resent him for that, so they're just kind of intentionally like screwing over not just Ronaldo, but, like, at the same time, you're like you are kind of selfish at the same time because if you're screwing over Ronaldo, you're also screwing over yourself and your
Yeah.
own, like, performances, like, to go far in a World Cup. So, I do think it's super interesting that you bring that up, and I'm glad you did, but, it just definitely seems like it's just almost intentional at times with some of these
Mhm.
plays, and like you said, the biggest disappointment, man, of this entire World Cup is not just the Portuguese our defense and our goalkeeper, insane. Diogo Costa, huge
Yeah.
respect. Him
Yeah.
and Mendes were the only ones that actually looked like they were trying in this game. But
Mhm.
dude, this midfield, again, Neves and Vitinha, partnership at PSG back-to-back Champions Leagues, and then you have Bruno Fernandes added to that, and they can't cut through any kind of defense whatsoever. Played Congo, nothing. We played Uzbekistan, that's whatever. And then you play Colombia, you can't break through anything. Squeak by Croatia, like every single game, super disappointing at every single turn. And it's just like they want to play backwards more than they do forwards, and like
Mhm.
Vitinha's not dancing in and out of tackles like you see at PSG. Like Bruno Fernandes, like again, there's no forward momentum. It's just all like backwards and sideways. Like I could not believe, bro. I don't know if you were watching till the end, but like we were on borrowed time. It was like 6 minutes were out of time. It was like the 98th, and Portugal's midfield were still passing the ball backwards.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
like
Mhm.
freaking get the ball in the box, dog. Like
Mhm.
what the frick are we doing? So like I just cannot believe how bad. Like, if they weren't just like average, where like they weren't up to what you would expect. But like this trio is supposed to be the best midfield trio in the World Cup, and they looked absolutely terrible. Where the like
Abysmal. Yeah.
McKennie and freaking Adams might have danced around like and again, this is the last thing I'll say, but like when you watch Portugal, dude, like there's so many times where you just look at their entire field, their formation that they've got going on, and the wingers are outside, the obviously the center backs and the defenders are back, Ronaldo's up top, and like Vitinha, Neves, and Bruno are all either to the outside or like way deep or way high. And the middle of the field is just completely empty, which I get. Like, if there's snapshots where like it gets like that sometimes when you're trying different things and different movements, whatever. But like extended periods of time where it's just completely empty in the midfield, which is like, why are we doing like, what are we? That just doesn't make any kind of sense to me. Again, with three of the best midfielders in the world, I don't think Roberto Martinez was the right coach for this iteration of the Portugal team. He obviously already blew it with one golden generation in Belgium. Definitely did it in this World Cup. His subs just didn't make any kind of sense. Why is Pedro
No.
Neto starting three of the four games that were or four of the five games that we're playing? Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Love the guy's speed, but his IQ afterwards is absolutely abysmal.
There's none.
Conceição should be starting over there. Leao coming in way too late. So it's just absolute disgrace, dude, of a Portugal team. Obviously, Ronaldo didn't really even touch the ball much this game, except for coming deep and stringing passes along. But what a just a pathetic way to send one of your legends out. In my point of view, with again the best team that Portugal has ever had. And a lot of people are saying that that 2016 team that won the Euros, like those dudes were fighting not just for Ronaldo but for the country, man. Like you're putting it all out on
Mhm.
the line, and these guys just looked like they couldn't give a crap. And as soon as Nuno Mendes stepped off that field, zero from then on, zero
Mhm.
creativeness, zero penetration, just nothing. So super sad. Possibly Ronaldo's last game. What I was gonna say about that was like he's saying it's his last game. It probably is, but like, I just wouldn't be surprised if Portugal is co-hosting the next World Cup in 4 years. Like, he's obviously not going to be at any kind of starting level at that point. At least I don't think so. But like, can we get him like a little Neymar mascot situation where he just makes
Yeah.
the team, comes on for like, one game, maybe when they've got one handled, because there's probably gonna be 60 teams at that point. You're surely gonna be ahead in one game by a lot, where he just comes on for a little bit. A home World Cup, seventh World Cup, which is kind of dope for his jersey number and everything. But
Yeah.
if it is his last, man, it was a heck of a ride for the national team. But he did say he's probably gonna play Euros in 2 years, so we'll see how that goes. 43-year-old Ronaldo. But
I
anyway,
mean,
sorry, I had to get on that because I
no,
feel,
you're good.
except for the U.S., is probably the most passionately I've felt about a team, obviously, in this World Cup. So
Yeah, no, as a Ronaldo fan, I'll kind of just let you put a pin in it there because everything you just said, kind of like I said my piece about the Portugal team. Super disappointed
yeah,
for whatever reason they would not play with Ronaldo, and that really ended up hurting them in this game.
yeah,
Obviously. But moving on to a game that
you
we
will have a
both
lot to say about.
we will have a lot to say about. We might
A
park here for a little bit, even though we
little
are
bit,
running pretty long already. But
yeah.
this one gutted me, man. Absolutely gutted me. I know I definitely
We should
I
probably tell the people what we're talking about first.
yeah, the USA getting absolutely manhandled by Belgium. Wasn't even close from the opening kickoff. It was such a bad showing, and yeah, it just I'll let you go because I don't know. I'm not probably gonna stop talking for a little bit because I've
Yeah.
known that I am known on this podcast for having some pretty strong USA rants, and this one might be the strongest one to date. So I'll let you go talk about your disappointment and what you thought went wrong for us last night.
Um, yeah, everything went wrong for us, to be honest. Looked behind the eight ball from the first minute. We looked outmatched. We looked like we are not used to playing a good team, which we're not. I was, everybody, again, going back to the kind of the casuals that surround me on a day to day. Everybody's like, dude, we're gonna come in like we have a chance, blah blah. Blah. And like I had some, some reserved optimism about the game. Like we might be in it, we might be in there late. Can we get something going early? Yada yada. But deep down, I was like, Belgium's got all the quality in the world. Yes, it's not the golden generation, Belgium, even though they still have 2 or 3 players from that generation. But all these guys play, you know, middle to upper tier club level football. They're going to be technically better than us. They're going to, spray the ball around a lot better than us, yada, yada. But from the first minute, I was like, dude, we're in trouble. Like we could not string 2 passes together. Again, we were behind early, which was like the worst thing that we could have done because we've been basically ahead in every single game that we've played pretty early on. So that was a problem. Our back line was absolutely terrible. I don't even know how you pronounce that dude's name, Dick Kettler or something like that. He was just
Yeah.
having his way with our defense. Tim Ream just eating grass, getting absolutely manhandled on that second goal was just embarrassing. Um, the first goal, dude, they just caught ball watching. Like, what the
Yeah.
actual are we doing? Just 3 guys there. It looked like a fly ball, and they got caught. Everyone got caught in the sun. They just like, oh, we can't see it, and then all of a sudden it's in the back of the net. Absolutely, disgraceful stuff there. Again, our midfield was terrible. Pulisic set a record for how many times that he gave up the ball without even playing the full game, which was absolutely insane. Malik Tillman had a nice goal, which I thought was, super nice goal until they showed the replay, and turns out we kind of got lucky
Lucky.
on a deflected shot. He'll still claim it though, and I would too. But again, that second goal came super quick after that, just not able to um, to kind of rebound after that. And then from there, we just lost all hope. Pulisic going out injured, absolute pansy. I'll get into him in a second. Van Ecken obviously scoring in the second half. Romelu Lukaku just putting one in for good measure. I told the dudes I was watching with, I was like, dude, all he needs is everybody was laughing at him when he came on. I was like, oh, he's fat. He looked like he ate the old Lukaku. Ha ha, whatever. I'm like, dude, he's gonna score on us. To give him half a chance, he's gonna score. And that's exactly
Half
what
a
happened.
chance,
Like
yeah.
I mean, like we were talking about with James too. Like some of these older dudes, like they might not be running all over the place, but like again, he's gonna slot that in the corner if you give him that much of a chance. So, but back
Mhm.
to Pulisic, man, like what an absolute freaking joke
I
of a leader, quote unquote leader, of the best player in our team, dude. Like
quote
looked
unquote best player,
behind it
yeah.
like the whole game. I know he's been hurt a little bit, but like I think he was like 0 for 8 on dribbles, 0 for 4 on passes or whatever the frick. like couldn't get anything. I forgot he was even on the field in the first half. Comes up a little bit hurt on the in the second half after one of the shots, which may have been a foul, whatever, but like just kind of limping around, and then like on the counter when that's how the third goal happened. Matt Freese, which I haven't talked about yet, but he watches that third goal go in and then just like immediately asks for a sub, and
Yeah.
what like if you're hurt, you're hurt, whatever, fine. But like what I saw afterwards in the press conference as well, just him like not really caring, be like, yeah, I'll be fine. It's time to rest now. It was just like the most pansy crap I've ever seen from a quote unquote Captain America, best player of our of this generation, a guy that's supposed to lead your squad. As soon as a real team steps in that we got to play is the first team that's not Paraguay on the roster you're struggling with. Like, come on, bro. Like, just some soft stuff that we've been used to seeing around here at the U.S. men's national team for a long time now. He looked terrible in the friendlies, and we should have seen it coming against this game too. Like, taking the whole Gold Cup off just so you can rest for the World Cup, and this is what we get once we actually play a real team. And the third goal on Belgium, just absolutely pathetic. Like, freaking clear that ball out of there, Matt Freese.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Tim Ream's getting a lot of hate right now, but it's Matt Freese's fault on that goal. Tim Ream, yeah, he should have gotten squared and probably just put his body in front of it, but a little bit of an awkward position. Yeah, he looked unathletic, but just freaking clear that ball out of there, dude. Absolutely kills everything. We're down 1 goal, anything can happen, but just absolutely pathetic stuff. Balogun was the best player out there, unfortunately, but he kept getting sucked out onto the wings because no one else could support him at all, and there's nothing you can do, and nobody's up top. So Dest, absolutely terrible. It was kind of a joke that we had going on as well. So yeah, I'll just kind of throw it on over to you. Pathetic stuff.
Yeah.
That's only going to take us back. This is not a good. It's the same place we always get knocked out. Round of 16, obviously we did win one game, but like as soon as we face a team that's worth their salt, we get trounced. We're not even in the game, bro.
No. And we never were, like I said, from kickoff. It looked in the first half like we were scared. It really did. We were outmatched, and maybe for good reason, but like that's not a US men's national team. We don't play scared, no matter who we're playing. And I know the current players hate it when we talk about it, but like you don't have the fight, you don't have the mentality. You're so deflated after everything doesn't go your way, and you give up. And that's what I saw out there is we kind of just like gave up. Like it was even before Matt Freese had his blunder and they went up by 2 goals. We were only down by 1, but we were still trying to sit there and pass around like, look at us, we're a bunch of European playing players. And it's like I don't freaking care. Put the ball in the box. We're down by 1. We're running out of time. And then even after the third goal goes in, it's like, all right, we're going to pass around. Tactics. No, tactics are out the window. You just got punched in the mouth. What are you going to do about it? Punch back. Like, put some balls in the box. Play some long balls. Get it out of our half. And we just didn't. But the biggest thing that I took away from it is just, like, how uncompetitive we were. And it's such a disappointment because, like, we've been building for this ever since the last World Cup when it was like, okay, yeah, we went out against a really good Netherlands side and we were a young team and it was our first World Cup since missing the 2018 World Cup, and that seemed to be our worst moment as a nation, playing this game. I think last night was. Like, we have this quote unquote golden generation, which I don't actually believe in because, our best player, like you alluded to and said so well, decides to just take himself out of the game, hurt or not, doesn't show any fight even when he's not hurt. I could literally, every time Christian touched the ball, I knew what he was going to do. He was going to cut inside, make it look like he was going to make a run, pass the ball to Adams with the outside of his foot and scamper off and never get the ball back. That's all he did all night. Like, it was almost better that he got hurt, so we had a reason to pull him off because he looked bad. And we honestly looked a little bit better when he was off because we put someone out there who was a little more inventive. But yeah, just not being competitive is the biggest takeaway that I have. Like, I was listening to a podcast today and someone said it best. Last World Cup, we were way more competitive against a better team. Like, that Netherlands team was so much better than this Belgium team by far. And we were way more competitive. And we could hang our hats on being a young team, and we stuck around with Netherlands just a little bit. But then we show up against an old, fading Belgium team with quality, but we're just not in the game at all. And we're just giving goals away left and right. And it's just a horrible culmination of the last 4 years and building up and all this hype. And even the hype through the tournament that I dove into, and
Yeah.
we go out like that. It's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's interesting you bring up the last squad, which a lot of the same players were there for 2022. But you bring up a good point, and like a lot of those dudes were young, they were hungry, they just wanted it more. And I feel like for the last 4 years, because we didn't have any qualifiers, and like people telling them every day that oh, we're hosting the World Cup, and telling them how great they are, that they lost, I think, some of that hunger. And yeah, we beat some bad teams, but when you're told every day that you're great and that you're this golden generation and this is the best team we've ever seen, like I feel like, you know, there's a complacency that sets in. And
Mm-hmm.
was like I said, once you face a team that's worth their salt, that's actually a good football team, like they're just behind it because they're not as hungry. They didn't want it. They thought that it was going to be as easy as Australia, dude, or like Bosnia or whatever, where it's just you know we can beat them because we're more talented. But when it comes down to the fact that we're not as talented as this team, and we have to do other things to compensate for that fact, that's kind of where we fall short. And again, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think this was good for the vibes. I think it was great when we won two in a row and won our group in the first two games. I think the vibes were super high then. Again, not great teams, but like everybody's kind of considering it a success because of that hypeness and bringing a lot of people to the attention of a US and a home World Cup and all that kind of stuff. But as far as a performance, like again, we went out in the exact same round that we always go out against, the instant that we face a good team. It's kind of done from there. And again, I think this is a huge opportunity missed, especially for a lot of these players, because a lot of these dudes, man, like Pulisic's going to be in his 30s.
Bring them
Adams,
back, yeah.
McKennie, I think they're going to be both 30, or maybe not quite Adams, but Ream's done. The fact that Ream's by the way, on Ream too, everybody wants to tear into Ream because he looks old, like he is old, but like he's literally the second best center back we have.
Yeah.
And that shows, like, everybody's laughing at it, but I'm like, the fact that he is the center back out there shows more of the U.S. men's national team incompetence to actually get somebody or develop somebody that can play there instead of a 38-year-old, rather than
Mm-hmm.
it does that Ream's coming back. I don't think he even wanted to play in this World Cup. Obviously, you do because it's the host World Cup, but like, I don't think he was planning on playing in this
No.
World Cup. So the fact that he's there, it was just as surprising to him, I think, as anyone else. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it's just pathetic. Like, we couldn't string three passes together, not because Belgium were this super high pressing side. At times they were, but like, it's just easy, like 4 yard pass laterally. We were just like screwing up. Our build up play from the back was not great either. And just to put a further insult to injury, the Belgian players, they were all over the whole Balogun situation at the end. They
Yeah.
were just saying that they were definitely playing with a little bit of extra motivation with the whole Balogun situation, and all their fans are chanting "overturn this" at the end and stuff. So, that whole Balogun situation, it really just came back to bite us because it gave the opponents more motivation, and they probably wanted to put 4 or 5 past us, to be honest. And Courtois even said, "It's like, yeah, I wasn't really worried about the United States. I knew they weren't really gonna pose much of a threat. I was more worried about the Senegalese, to be honest." I was like, dude, that is so brutal.
Yeah.
But last thing on the U.S. men's national team, unless you have anything else to add, but what about Poch? You think he's staying? For me, it was always just a World Cup thing for him. He's probably got
Yeah.
pretty good suitors over in Europe if you wanted him. But you think he stays around, or he's gone?
I think he's gone. It's a thing where he might pull the rug out from under us. He might act like he wants to stay. We'll give him a contract, and then someone will come calling, and he'll be gone. I mean, he was taking calls during the World Cup, so like,
That's
like,
wild.
yeah. He's gone for sure. His first love's club football, and I think he actually does better at that, anyways. Which is kind of wild because I never really thought he was a big name coming into the U.S. men's national team, but like, where's the winning? Like, his greatest
Mhm.
accomplishment was getting Tottenham to a Champions League final, and that was
Yeah.
about it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I don't know. And like people are alluding to, and Alexi even said this, and I agree. He didn't win the game that we hired him to win. This round of 16 game to
Correct.
get to the quarters,
Big
like
time, dude.
Alexi actually saying something that's valid for one time, but like, yeah, he didn't win the game that we paid him the most money that we've ever paid a coach in our entire history to
Yeah.
win this game, and it was even against a team that we could have beaten. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
like a Netherlands last year where it was like, we clearly can't win this game, but we'll try. This one was like, shoot, we have the quality to beat them, and we just, had our worst
Yeah,
game.
and it's not all on him. Like that first goal,
No.
like that's not something that you can look at coaching and be like, oh, well, why, blah blah blah, because it's just
Yeah.
caught ball watching or whatever. But yeah, I tend to agree. I think he's probably gone. I always thought this was more of a, a springboard into something else for him, just because
Mhm.
I feel like he kind of went through a period where it was a little bit of like Pochettino's not really getting those calls to the big teams anymore. He's like, oh, I can go over to the U.S. and maybe if I do well there, get something else. But yeah, I'm sure we'll touch on the U.S. maybe a little bit more in the coming weeks. Maybe as things kind of get put into perspective, maybe as Poch actually leaves. But we're gonna leave them for now as the Belgians took us to the shed. So that's all that can be
Yeah, they
said.
did.
Moving on to
Oh.
today's matches. Another one that we'll probably park on for at least a couple minutes here.
Yeah.
Argentina with a
Wow.
12 p.m. kickoff, which really annoyed me. I was like, what the
Yeah,
heck?
that
Like, I got back
sucked.
from lunch at work and I was like, they're already going. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Anyway, playing an Egypt side. Egypt beating I don't even remember who they beat, but they're in the round of 16 now. Argentina surviving another scare to a team that they really should be really beating up on, to be honest. Egypt's going up 1-0 pretty early on before I even started watching. Um, giving Argentina a good shake there, and then scoring again to make it 2-0 in the second half. Egypt have a canceled goal, which we'll come back to in a second. And then Argentina respond with 3 goals in 10 minutes, basically. Christian Romero gets a header. Lionel Messi with a pretty nice half volley finish, which was pretty solid. Then Enzo Fernandez on the counter. I don't know how there was only like one dude in the box from Egypt,
Yeah.
but he got
Crazy
up for that
cross.
that header to steal one there for Argentina, to send them into the quarterfinals. And before we get into all the extracurriculars, did you have a chance to see? I know you kind of went dark there when I was texting you about the game. So did you? You said you didn't really weren't able to watch this one too much.
Yeah, I had it on. I was listening to it and I was looking at it every once in a while. I had a job that I was doing, but I was tuned in, and those last few minutes were crazy. Obviously, I was tuned in because I was just like, dude, is this the last like World Cup game that I'm gonna watch Messi play? And it looked bleak there for a second. Like
Sure.
for a long second, but then Argentina just kind of like woke up and decided like, hey, we're actually better than this team. Like, let's just put this away. Left it really late. Obviously, it was kind of cool to see what it meant to Messi, because it just goes to show that this will probably more than likely, same with Ronaldo, like be his last World Cup. And you just saw the emotions after he actually tied it and was like, dude, we're right back in this. Like, we're not going home yet. And the emotions after the game, like, some might call it cheesy, but like just with seeing your whole entire international career like flash before your eyes and then continuing to move on, in with late theatrics, like, yeah, I'd be emotional too, just knowing that the ride's not over. But I think you reminded me of something that I said. I didn't even remember I was talking about it, but like, I think it's really France's tournament to lose. Argentina hasn't looked convincing either. Like, they've left it late against Cape Verde, and now Egypt haven't really played like super tough teams. Like, they would have played Australia or Egypt. Like, that's like what are what are we doing? So their next test will obviously be a, or who do they play next? It's
Switzerland, dog.
Yeah, so like it's kind of set up for them to make it to the final without really playing
A
much.
little
Like,
bit makes you wonder.
but watching what Cape Verde and Egypt did, like, I mean, the Swiss aren't gonna roll over for them, so
Yeah.
that's gonna end up being a good game too. But yeah, just happy to see that we didn't, like, it would have been 3 consecutive days that we said goodbye to like all of our legends, and so it's like glad that we still have one to hold on to, whether you're a Messi fan or not. So yeah, good for Argentina.
That's it.
I mean, that's all I gotta say. Like, I mean, you were talking about the one goal, and the game winner. I at first I saw and I was like, dude, that's horrible. That's horrible man marking. Like, it kind of came out of nowhere. It was like a 2-man counter attack, and Martinez was like, but like when I watched it in replay, like obviously since there was only one guy in the box, like you're not just gonna cross it over the 6-yard box and hope. Like he picked Enzo out. Like the cross was almost the best part of the entire goal. Like because Enzo was like running into the box, faded off of his guy as the defender kind of kept going, and he had like that 4-yard space that he could run into, and Martinez just put it like on a dot
Mm.
right to him, picked him right out, and I was just like, dude, that's such an incredible cross, and like obviously still had to finish it, but like yeah, what a game, and
It,
Mo Salah couldn't pick him up, couldn't do
yeah,
it.
I feel like you should watch the second half back, and maybe we'll have to revisit. Did you see the second chopped off goal for Egypt?
Yes, I did. I thought you were gonna bring that up. I was kind of passing it to you, but
Oh, okay, okay. I
yeah,
that's I
sorry,
was
sorry.
just I thought you were gonna talk a little bit about maybe some of the refereeing decisions, but I guess I'll talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, bring it up because I was gonna talk
Okay,
about it,
okay,
but I
okay.
thought I thought that was you. But
Dude, freaking FIFA out here, dude. I could go on,
that's what
but
I'm
I'm not.
saying.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna try to keep it 100. Try to keep it chill. But the second goal, absolute disgrace of a chopped off goal, dude. Freaking. Even the announcers were saying it. Like that might be
Yeah,
one of the goals
yeah,
of the tournament on the counter, and you're gonna bring that back for a freaking
yeah. Toe tap.
minimal, minimal contact, like all the way back at the other end, a full field away to chop that
No,
goal off.
no.
Absolutely, like they had to speed it up
Mm-hmm.
to get to the part where they scored.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute freaking disgrace. Egyptians felt, obviously, you know, caught the short end of the stick on that one. Ended up not mad. They scored a couple minutes later, which was pretty nice. But just dude, the stuff down the stretch was just
Yeah.
absolutely insane to me. Like Argentina again getting a lot of the just every call man goes their way. Like if it's a 50-50, it's going their way. Mo Salah had a pretty nice counterattack that might have been called back. They had Egypt had a couple. The everyone's screaming about like the penalty shout on Salah. I actually don't think
Mm,
that was a penalty. Super late
no.
on. He got the ball first and just kind of. I don't have a problem with that. But there is like a coming together at the top of the box with McAllister that like again they should at least look at, but the fact that they're like so like convinced that they don't need to look at it just
Mm-hmm.
screams corruption. And the fact that after Argentina scores a third goal and Egypt's going crazy and the refs just going over there handing out yellow cards and red cards and all this stuff is just like what are we doing? And it just it bothers me because obviously I'm a Ronaldo guy. Everybody knows that. I like Messi. I think he is an incredible talent. We will never see anyone as good as Messi in our lifetimes, basically. You know, outside, obviously, his personal opinion on this part, but like outside of Ronaldo, I think he is the best player like we've ever seen. But the fact there, all this corruption stuff
Mm-hmm.
tears down his legacy, dude. Like
Yeah, it
the
really
amount of
does.
people, like I've gone to a couple like public watch parties and stuff, and like just talking and hearing what people are talking about. Like there's been people that are turned off. Like it's like, yeah, I was leaning Ronaldo or Messi during like the Messi Ronaldo, but like I can't with all this like corruption
Yeah.
stuff, the referee, the FIFA, like all of it. It's just too much. Like again, I just feel like they're taking away from his legacy, which is an incredible one, and it's just like I don't know how I just don't know. Like, I'll let you chime in here. Maybe I'll add a little bit on to the end. Just your 2 cents on like the Egypt goal that was chopped off, and then also, just so many of the decisions down the stretch were just like so like. I mean, it's just so obvious. Like, it's just sad.
Yeah, no, I agree. And coming from a Messi
which
fan,
I
I
respect so much, dude. Like I can't tell you how many Messi fans I have that like will defend this to the end. But I'm just
yeah,
so glad
no.
that you have eyes and can see.
Yeah, I mean, I just really enjoy and love promoting like just integrity in sport. Like it
Yeah.
needs to be an even playing field, and after the playing field's evened, if you're the best player, that means so much more than you being handed things just
Mm,
because you're the best player. Like again, we would both agree. Like we disagree on who is the best, but we agree that Messi is one of two of the best players to ever play the sport,
hmm
and it just really feels like he gets preferential treatment because
Yeah.
of who he is, and it's just like, no, we don't need to, and his legacy is what it
That's
is even without the treatment, and it's just like, why are we taking away even this late in his career?
that's the
And
thing,
like,
dude. They don't need it. Like
no.
he's amazing by himself.
Yeah.
Argentina is amazing by themselves. Like what
Yeah.
you were saying about NBA and the NBA, and we're talking about the Thunder and like how Shea gets all these calls. It's like he's incredible by himself without the
Yeah.
calls and without FIFA and without, you know, the refs propping him up. Like Argentina is the same way, especially because he already has a World Cup. You know,
Mhm.
sketchiness around that or not, he already
Right.
has one. So why are they pushing so hard for this World Cup? Like
Yeah.
first game, no red card. It's just it's kind of spiraling into what we have
Mhm.
um what we have today, but sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. And like that goal being taken away, like Argentina still has a chance to win, like because they get that second goal, maybe like they don't get that. Like, I mean, Egypt ended up going up by 2 anyways. Like some people go back and say, yeah, sure, maybe they'd go up by 3, yada yada. But that's such like like
But
going back and like retrospectively like refereeing a game. It's like, no, just let the game play out how the game is supposed to play out. Like, don't call ticky tack stuff. Don't call back a goal that happened way down the field when uh someone got their toe stepped on. Like, it's just it's like it's so ridiculous. That's why it could only be like preferential treatment because it is just so ridiculous. Like you don't see anybody else getting it but him
yeah, and
and their
there's just
team.
other stuff too. Like I don't know if you probably didn't see this because it was just kind of a more of a niche moment, but like I forget who it was. It may have been Enzo Fernandez, but he like ball is gone. Like the pass was made by the Egyptian guy, and he just kind of like I don't even know what he does. He kind of like slaps at the player, clearly makes contact with his face, but like nothing's really done. Like it's kind of off the
Yeah.
ball, but kind of not. But like if it was anybody else, they'd be reviewing that at least and like
Mhm. Mhm.
trying to see. But like again, it's just and like you were saying, like Egypt would have gone up 2-0. They actually did go up 2-0 a few minutes later, but it's just like it's almost like the ref or FIFA or whoever's pulling the strings is like they can feel the game getting away from Argentina too much, like they're being outplayed too much, and they have to like at least make it a possibility that Argentina might come back because like we can't
Mhm.
let them go up 3-0. Like we'll just keep it at 2 or whatever it was at the time,
Yeah.
just to make it like manageable. But it's just and again like it's so that's the last thing I'll say too is like it's so weird watching a referee an Argentina game because like
Yeah.
Argentina, not only did they get away with a lot more, but like he is so like strict and like just in the conversation that he has with the Egyptian players. Like I don't know if you saw after like the second goal, for example, when the
Mhm.
Egypt's like protesting whatever they were protesting, but he's like in their face, like angry, like stop protesting right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
so like, which you don't see with any other game or teams. Like refs
No.
just take it all the time on the chin, just kind of like, oh, calm down, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, it was the same thing in the Austria game when like Leimer was like really protesting something. He's just so in their face and in their grill, like, stop, like, this is like, I made my decision kind of thing. I was
Yeah.
just like, it's just so weird to watch. And like, it's just so blatant. So it's so shameless at this
Mhm.
point that it's just like, I don't know if, like, obviously you're kind of like, you know, not you're just more open, I guess, open-minded to it, but, like, I don't know how anybody can watch this and
Yeah.
not say that there's something going on,
Yeah.
and I just don't understand why that is, so
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either. And it's just been more clear the last World Cup and this World Cup that they just really want Messi's I mean, it's because like soccer in general is probably just making a ton of money off of just Messi in general, and like all the different organizations, MLS, whoever he's playing for, obviously Miami, now FIFA. Like if we continue, like we just need to bring more people in, and Messi brings a lot of people in, and so like if he's doing well, if he makes it deep in the tournament, more people are watching. So it's
Yeah.
all just a money thing at the end of the
And
day, and that's what corruption centers around most of the time.
yeah, and like I said, this World Cup has kind of brought me, more aware of like more people's opinions, I guess, that maybe I didn't know before. But like
Yeah.
the amount of people that were like, I've probably, excuse me, talked to 4 or 5 people that they were either on the fence between Ronaldo and Messi, didn't really like Ronaldo, leaned on Messi. But now have completely like distanced themselves from being like a Messi guy per se is like pretty striking. I'm just wondering like how many people like around the world might have that opinion, like where they don't like Ronaldo, but now they don't like Messi either because
Mm-hmm.
they just don't want to be in support of, corruption and bias
Corruption.
and everything,
Yeah.
which again, sad, but state of affairs.
Yeah, unfortunate. Also unfortunate, this was Salah's last game for Egypt as well. Kind of
Yeah.
crazy the run that they went on. Didn't think Egypt had this in them. Almost pulled off the giant upset, but yeah, just continue to say, even though we didn't say goodbye to Messi, just continue to say goodbye to like these different guys that, like Salah there for a while with Liverpool was like one of the best in the world as well. So, a really good player in his own right, heading to Saudi, I believe,
Think so.
after leaving Liverpool this past summer as well. So,
Yeah.
Egypt almost getting it done, but Argentina lived to see another day. And now this is going to be completely you because funny story. I thought the Swiss and Colombians were playing at 8 tonight. And so I was like, all right, I'll be able to catch the end of it. Yeah, yeah, or watch some of the highlights while we're doing this or whatever. Had no idea that it was earlier in the day, and I'm sitting there feeding my son, and it's like, oh my gosh, the Swiss get past the Colombians on penalties, and I was like, wait, what? Like I just missed this entire game? Are you freaking kidding me? So I didn't watch anything. No highlights, no
Yeah.
nothing. So
I didn't
yeah,
watch
here we
most of the
are.
game either. I was kind of had one eye on it just because in case it turned into a game, but it was zero
Right.
zero, ended 0-0 through regulation and extra time, going all the way to pens. Switzerland end up prevailing on penalties. Davinson Sanchez and Hernandez missing penalties, and also Akanji missing for the Swiss, which again, both teams Davinson Sanchez only taken one other center back, only taken one other penalty in his career, basically, misses again in this game as well. Akanji, only center back um, taking a pen for Switzerland, misses. Obviously, they get out, they're able to escape, but like, again, more center backs just taking pens and missing. Like, what are
I
we
don't know what it
doing?
is, man. I don't know. And like a guy that we really like on social media, Matty FC,
Mm-hmm.
he's been crying about it too. And I'm like, so it's
Yeah.
not just us. Like other people are noticing. Especially he's big on like the stutters. Like people are
Oh my
stuttering and stuff
goodness.
like
Don't
that.
get me started.
And yeah, like yeah, that's a whole nother podcast for another day. But
It'd be one thing if center backs were stepping up and just putting it upper 90 and
but they're
converting, but these aren't
not.
even close. Like
They're
they're putting
not.
it 16th row.
They're bad. They're so
Yeah.
bad. Oh man, but yeah, again, Sammy and I didn't really watch this game, didn't really need to.
Yeah.
Swiss end up coming out on top on penalties. They will play Argentina in the quarterfinals, which is a good little segue to end this part of the podcast. We got France versus Morocco, banger. Spain versus Belgium. If we get a good Belgium, banger as well. Norway versus England, banger. And then Argentina versus the Swiss, which like I don't know.
I was
The
hoping
way
for Colombia, nice little South
me
American
too. Me
action
too.
there, but oh
But
well.
like I'm looking at this dude and I'm like, man, Norway beats England. They can beat the Swiss or Argentina. Like Holland's first World Cup, they're in the final, dog. And like from
Who
there,
would you most obviously except Argentina, who would you most like to win the whole thing
Norway for sure at this
that you're
point.
rooting for? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like one of the underdogs I would definitely like. Like I don't like Spain or Belgium, so frick them. But if Morocco could find their way out of like if they could beat France, which they could definitely beat Spain or Belgium. So seeing like a Morocco
That'd be
versus
wild.
like a Norway would be, in my opinion, banger. Maybe not for the rest of the world, but
That'd be a
Like no,
wild World Cup final, Norway, Morocco.
I know, dude, but it's probably gonna end up being like France, and then like some corruption going on, and Argentina is gonna, because I
Yeah.
think England might be the best team on that side out of those four
Oh
teams.
yeah, on paper for sure.
So yeah, but everybody's beatable on that side. France is just in another level, but they could get knocked off by Morocco and maybe a Spain, but I just don't see it.
Yeah.
How
I
about
don't
you?
want Spain at all. I
No, no, no,
no.
no, 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 no.
Spain needs to go
Please
away.
no.
I
Please
hope
no.
Belgium beats them, even though I don't love Belgium, but whatever. France, I think, is the favorite still,
Yeah.
just because they've got the most talent. I mean, their B squad could probably go all the way in this World Cup. I think
Yeah.
Morocco's got a shot. I think Morocco,
Mm,
let's
that's
say
gonna be a good
Belgium, I
game.
think Morocco has a better chance of beating France than even Belgium has on that other side if Belgium got over Spain. But
I agree.
I just think they could muddy that game up, and that's going to play more into the Moroccans' hands than it will the French. But the French are super patient, dude. They could have like
Mm-hmm.
lashed out at those Paraguayans so much, or just
Yeah.
gotten out of sorts late on, but they were so patient, stuck to what they were doing. And that's a huge credit to Didier Deschamps, just keeping them
Yeah.
level headed.
Huge.
But I do think it's France, but I think I'm with you. I think I would love to see, even though they'd probably have the shortest or the longest odds, Norway, I would love to see go all the way. But I wouldn't hate England, man. I know there are, you know, little brothers or big brothers or whatever you want to call them, but like it would be kind of cool to see England prevail for the first time. You know,
Yeah.
finally see it come home. For the first time in like 60 years or whatever it is, even though it kind of sting a little bit for England to come to America and get this one on our heads. But
Yeah, that
um,
would suck.
yeah, so
Yeah,
England or Norway, whoever wins England Norway, I'm rooting hard the
you
whole way.
want,
I think,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I could find myself rooting for England. I just don't really want to. Like,
yeah, same.
unless it was Morocco on the other side, I would have to root for England because I'm not rooting for France or Belgium or Spain. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, those are the quarters that we have to look forward to. Gonna be watching those very, very closely. I think, yeah, we have tomorrow off, right? And then Thursday we
I think
start.
so. Right.
I think the first game's France and Morocco. That's gonna be crazy. That's probably gonna end up being the best game. But we've
Yeah.
said that about multiple games, and
Right.
here we are. But getting down to the last few days of the World Cup, very sad, very depressing feeling for sure.
A
But
little bit.
we do have the NBA offseason that it's crazy, dude. I can't even keep track with it, especially the Lakers signing everybody. I
Yeah.
was like, dog, once they get rid of LeBron, they're just like, oh, we have all this money and we can just get whoever we want. We don't have to talk to LeBron. This is great.
Yeah.
But that's not where we're going to start. Jaylen Brown is the biggest news so far. Well, other than maybe Giannis. But recently, Jaylen
Pretty
Brown's the
big,
biggest
man. I don't
news
know.
coming out of the offseason, heading to the Sixers for Paul George and some picks. I just want to get your initial reaction. We kind of saw this coming because after everything going down with the Giannis trade and them trying to get him, it kind of put some bad blood in the water there in Boston, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Everything kind of spiraled after Jalen was being in the trade news so much. He definitely wanted out after that, which again, absolutely wild after the career year that he had this year, keeping the
Yeah.
Celtics afloat without Tatum. You'd think that he would solidify his position at the Celtics, or even maybe them possibly trading Tatum instead of Brown, but obviously that wasn't to be. Brown was kind of always the, you know, the guy that they were kind of trying to push out like the whole time. If it was either Tatum or Brown that they wanted to keep, it was always Brown on the outs. But yeah, things eventually spiraled. I don't think he ever requested a trade, but it was pretty clear that they weren't going to be able to mend fences after that. So going to the Sixers, I did not see the Sixers trading for him. I
No,
was not on my
no.
radar at all. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, dude, I love this. Like pairing him with Maxey and Edgecombe,
Mm-hmm.
and like I think their starting five might be better than the Celtics where he
I was gonna
was coming
say,
from. So not bad at all. And at the same time, Sixers trading a bad contract and kind of morphing into a bad player, and Paul George, who's always hurt, back to the Celtics, and giving up several picks as well. But I mean, that could be a game changer for the Sixers, and I'm excited to see Jaylen Brown on a new roster. And Paul George, saw some crazy stats about him, but he's been traded for like tons of big time players and like a million picks and like it's
Yeah,
like the
he's just
most
a trading
valuable
chip.
player of all time in there, dude. The amount of times he's been traded for the assets that he has.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It was super weird to see Boston do this trade, but like
Yeah,
the like we just alluded to, it would just got messy there after they tried to get Giannis and throw in Jaylen Brown into the mix. But yeah, you kind of alluded to it, but I wanted to get your opinion. Like, do you think this makes the Sixers like frisky? Like, yeah, I
for
mean,
sure. I
yeah,
mean,
it's gotta, right?
yeah, I mean Jaylen Brown's a dog, dude. Like he
Yeah.
drug that Celtics team to a top 3 seed in the East with basically, role players as his supporting cast for the whole year. Obviously they weren't able to kind of live up to expectations in the playoffs, but I mean you get him some real help around him. I think he is probably the number one option that I think over
Mm-hmm.
Maxey maybe, even though
I agree.
Maxey's been there, but I think he's the number one option. I think he should be it should be his team going
Yeah.
forward. I think this definitely makes the Sixers frisky. I think if Embiid can, like what we were saying a few weeks ago, if we can just sit Embiid for the whole season, let him
Mm-hmm.
come play the playoffs, it might be a little bit better shape for him. But definitely makes the Sixers interesting team to watch this year. And super confused by the Celtics end of it. Obviously, they get rid of Brown, but like Paul George aging, like I'm assuming
Yeah.
he's gonna start. But like, dude, their team, like they don't have almost anybody back or still on their team for that championship winning season just 2 years
No.
ago. Um, Again, just a bunch of role players there, like Pritchard and White and some of those other dudes. They're fine players, but not the caliber that you'd want to see around Tatum if they're going to try to contend again. I don't know if there's another move that they're planning, but you always kind of trust Brad Stevens because he's
Mm-hmm.
outside of Sam Presti, he's probably one of the best GMs out there. But super super weird one here for the Celtics if they do intend to contend this year.
Yeah, and one of the sneaky things about the Sixers trade for Jaylen Brown is that they're actually kind of in the sweepstakes for LeBron now, just with like
Yeah,
you
he's
just
going
said,
there.
the pieces that they have. Like, I know he's not gonna go there, but his agent did just come out and like he took a
Yeah.
bunch of teams off the list, but said the Sixers are one of them. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. If they actually end up landing LeBron. But speaking of LeBron, like we alluded to, the Lakers just signing everybody and their mother now that they're going in full steam on the Doncic era in LA, signing Kessler with he garnered like a lot of first round picks. That's crazy. I didn't see the full breakdown.
Two
I'm look
first unprotected and two
Yeah.
first round pick swaps, dog.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't see the breakdown of the
It's a
trade.
haul.
That is a haul. But obviously, like now that they're going in the Luca direction, like they're just getting a bunch of bigs that they can try out with him because like that's what worked in Dallas with him. But do you think this is the direction they should be going? You think this is gonna work out?
Yeah, I mean, I think getting Kessler was good just because he's a young big that can play well with Luca. I think he doesn't quite have the hops that like Derek Lively or some of those old OG Mavericks players has, but I think he's definitely a good pickup. Way
Mm-hmm.
overpriced, way overpaid, but that's the Palinka way over there in LA Laker land.
Apparently.
So I do think it's a good pickup, but some of the other players, like they got off Aiton, they traded Aiton for Jaden
Mm-hmm.
Hardy. Jaden Hardy's fine. He was at the Mavericks with Luke. I guess he liked him. He wasn't really playing that much there, but the fact that they got off of Aiton was good. They
Mm-hmm.
also signed Quentin Grimes and Colin Sexton, who are like
Yeah.
decent players. Like Jared texted me after they were signing like literally like everybody and their mother, and he's like, "Oh, Lakers are going crazy." I was like, "Yeah, crazy mid," just because I feel like several of those players. I mean, Quentin Grimes had a good stretch last year,
Yeah.
for sure. But I don't know. Maybe they're planning on a second, you know, second star with him outside of Austin Reeves. But I do like the moves so far. I just don't think that they're like earth shattering, like
Mm-hmm.
especially in the West that's just so loaded with the Thunder and the Nuggets and the Wolves and the I'm missing that's the Spurs, duh. That it's going to be hard for them to compete as they're currently constructed. But I assume there's going to be some more moves. I just don't. Unpopular opinion, I don't think they should have re-signed Reeves all that money, dude. Like I would have let
No.
him walk or try to trade him somehow. I just don't think that he's a great second option. Maybe a good third,
Yeah.
but not as a second, at least not for me, at least not with Luka.
Yeah, I just see the Lakers signing a bunch of like role players right now. They're really just trying to fill in the gaps around Luca at this point. It's all centered around him. So I mean, that's the way they're going to win games. If Luca can stay healthy, they're going to be a team that is always going to be there
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Luka
Um,
led the league last year in points, so
yeah,
still
and
balling.
still didn't win MVP, dude.
Dude, there's a
Crazy.
whole video online. I don't know if you're familiar with like Mike Korzember, like Jimmy High
Mm-hmm.
Roller, whatever. But they do really interesting NBA videos, and there's a video about like Luca and how like extremely unlucky he's been not to win MVP. Because
Yeah.
basically every year he's been in the league, he's elevated his game to an absurd level now. But there's always like these shifting narratives about what we like in certain years or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
he's always missed out. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, a few more trades to talk about, and we will get out of here. Mitchell Robinson heads to the Celtics after a championship season with the Knicks.
good pickup.
There's, yeah, great pickup. Looked like there was a little bit of, I don't know, just some things online looked like there's some bad blood, some stuff going on with like his injury and stuff that the Knicks kind of decided to part ways with him. Not sure if we'll see anything come out after that. And they
I just
also
don't think they
signed
could
Mike
afford
Conley.
him.
Yeah, probably not, especially after that, and just like how good he was in that championship run, like
Get his
guarding
bag.
Wemby, had the game sealing rebound or series sealing rebound, like yeah,
Yeah.
big time. When Cat wasn't out there, Mitchell Robinson was putting in work, and yeah, sure, can't make free throws, but like it's starting to look more and more like a big man league like it used to be, especially with Wemby in the
I'll
league. But
bet.
they also signed Mike Conley, some veteran presence there for sure. Just with the Celtics. Not again, you're not gonna bet against Brad Stevens, but like yeah, it doesn't look I don't know. They just don't have anybody anymore. Like
Yeah.
they got all their bench players, but like getting rid of like you said, that championship team from 2 years ago isn't there anymore. Did you have anything on the Mitchell Robinson thing? You said it was a good pickup, but
Not really.
anything
Yeah, just that it
deeper?
was a good, solid pickup for them. I think they needed a center. I think Mitchell Robinson's a good one. Like you said, can't make free throws, but solid basically everywhere else. They need a big
Yeah,
man, and then
good
Mike Conley, I
defensive.
think, is big.
That is huge.
His role's kind of diminished the last couple of years, but I still think he can provide good minutes off the bench. And like you said, his veteran presence, I think, was the main reason that they signed him, which they will definitely need with all the young players that they have on their roster now.
Yeah, and lastly, kind of in the same vein of that veteran presence, Tobias Harris signs with the Spurs. This is huge. This is definitely a pickup. Definitely because of what happened in the NBA Finals. Just their youth kind of shooting them in the foot, like giving up games late. We talked about it, when it was happening and right after it happened, they literally had double digit leads in every game in the beginning of the games and gave them up late to the Knicks for the most part. So I think this is a great pickup. He was with Detroit, right? If I'm not
Yep.
mistaken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually the main reason I wanted to talk about that, just because obviously it's a good pickup for the Spurs. If the Spurs can keep their like main nucleus of the 6 or 7 man rotation that they have, plus Tobias Harris, I mean that's a huge pickup for them. Just
Hmm.
a bigger, thicker guy that can actually like shoot a little bit too is going to be big for them. But also, I'm not really sure what the Pistons are doing this offseason. Like they
Yeah.
won't sign Jalen Duren, and they obviously just traded Tobias Harris away. So like they they get the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference with Cade Cunningham leading the crew. Now all of a sudden they want to blow it up. So I'm not really sure what they're trying to do over there. If they have other plans, if there's gonna be a sneaky big move later on. Maybe they trade Jalen Duren for somebody else that's pretty big or important. But yeah, I'm not really sure. They're kind of letting Cade down with some of these moves that they've made so far. But we're only halfway through the offseason, so
Yeah. I mean, wasn't Dern was literally an all-star, wasn't he?
yeah. I
Which
mean,
is kind of
he's not off the team, but they're just kind of dragging their feet on an extension, I think,
yeah.
and
Well,
just
I
kind of
would
that
too.
petty
Just
crap. But
I would too, because he was literally nowhere to be seen in the playoffs
facts.
after having an all-star season. So
Yeah. And they
I
have
don't.
Asar Thompson still, so they're not
Yeah.
shedding everybody like the Celtics are or anything, but this is just, after the season the Pistons had, you'd expect them to be like, all right, this is our window, like go get it kind of thing, and really trying to kind of shift to win now mode. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like everybody that's still in the sweepstakes for LeBron would be holding off on re-signing people just until they know that they can't get him.
Yeah.
In case they want to use those pieces to like put something together to try to get him.
Yeah.
But he's not going to Detroit, in my opinion.
I was
So,
gonna
like,
say, do they really need a letter from LeBron's camp saying, "Hey, we're not going to Detroit"? Like, he
they
ain't going to
probably
Detroit.
do. They honestly probably do, because
Yeah,
like if you're the team that misses out and he's like, oh yeah, I would have gone, but you didn't, like,
I
you
guess
didn't have to be. I don't know.
you're probably right. You're 100% right.
They definitely probably need a letter from LeBron.
Get their due diligence.
I would need one. I'd be like, if I'm in the freaking running, like if his agent just said we're on the list of teams they're looking at, I'd be
Yeah.
like, you have to tell me no before I move on from you, even
Yeah.
at his age. But
Fair.
with that being said, like, yeah, LeBron's still the highlight of this offseason. I'm sure he'll drag it out just to keep the attention on him because he's good at that. But it'll be interesting to see where he lands or where anybody else lands, because it seems to be heating up here relatively quickly. But with that being said, Sammy, I think that's a pod.
It is a pod. First one over 2 hours in several months, I think.
In several months. Yeah, we've been doing pretty good keeping them shorter, but this one, there's way too much World Cup that we had to talk about.
Yeah.
Just
It'll
game
slow
after
down
game
now,
after
though,
game.
because we don't have so many games. But
Right. I mean, we have a day off tomorrow, and then there's like one game on Thursday. There's only like two games. Saturday's the only day with two games. So definitely less.
there's only 7 games total left.
Stop. Don't say that. Don't say that. It hurts. It hurts. But anyways, we appreciate you guys for sticking with us. If you made it to the end, please like and subscribe on the video here on YouTube. Also go to Apple Podcast and Spotify and follow us and rate us there. We would appreciate that. And until the next one,
Peace.
peace.